And it is the top of the hour here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. You are tuning in to the Digital Dash, my radio show hosted by me, obviously, Javier Reyes. We talk about pop culture with a tint of sports in there. And today, let me tell you, we've got a good show in for you today, obviously. I'm going to have my friend Trevor on in about 30 minutes-ish. We're going to talk about Comic-Con. He's actually here in the studio right now if you want to say a quick hello, Mr. Trevor.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm doing a lot better.
All right, nice. I'm glad to hear. All right, so that's enough out of you. No, I'm kidding. We'll see him in a little bit, talk about Comic-Con stuff, because he will be going to Comic-Con this weekend, Friday, October 5th, I believe is when it starts, correct? Okay. And then after that, going to do my NFL picks rapid fire edition. Going to try and get those a little bit quicker because no Anthony today. He will not be joining me. I'll have a lot of stuff I want to do this week, so, reflect on the NFL games. That should be a lot of fun. Then I'm going to talk about the movie Slice, which I saw this weekend. I found it interesting because nobody's talking about this, despite it's pretty eclectic and all over the place and A-lister and just really just incredible cast in it. And the fact that it's distributed by A24. So I watched that this weekend. You'll hear my thoughts on that. Then after that, going to talk about The Good Place Season 3, its premiere, with my sister, who's going to be calling into the Digital Dash. Like I said, nothing but illustrious guests on this show. I got Trevor. I got my sister. We're talking Good Place. And of course, to close things out, I like that you're laughing right now. To close things out, of course, you got to be wondering right now, how can I possibly one-up this, right? I'm going to have my mom call into the shows, ladies and gentlemen, to round out the show and talk about the Yankees Wild Card game this Wednesday. And that should be a lot of fun. My mom's a wreck. She's super nervous about it, obviously, sudden death elimination. I'm nervous, but it's all good. It's the Oakland A's. Whatever. What have they done, besides being Moneyball? That's it. So, of course, guys, got a great show. But as usual, we're going to start things off with a little bit of a break playing Daylight by Matt and Kim. And then we're going to get back on air and talk and do the opening dash rapid fire news roundup of the past week. You know what it is. It's the Digital Dash here on 90.3 WMSC Montclair. Stay tuned, guys. It's going to be a great one. And we're back, everybody, here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. You're listening to the Digital Dash. I outlined my show before the break. And now, as always, we're starting off with the opening dash. Starting off in movies/TV news. Last week, Creed 2 had its second trailer released. The trailer was good, I guess. That's all I have to say about it. I've talked ad nauseum about the show a lot before. The movie is set to come out November 21st. It follows Adonis Creed and the sequel to 2016's Creed, directed by Ryan Coogler, who's not directing this one. However, this one sees the same cast return for the most part, and now he's fighting the son of Ivan Drago, who looks like a beast based on this trailer. Really cool trailer. I'm excited for it. And for once, it feels like something that I don't really know how it's going to end. I could see him getting his butt kicked, and I can also see him winning. This is just a weird I got a weird vibe about this movie, but nevertheless, I'm excited about it. Next up, though, lots of Fox news, all right? Not that they got bought, because that happened a while ago, obviously, but we've got a trailer for X-Men Dark Phoenix that was released last week. What's funny about this trailer, among other things, I guess, is that the movie was first supposed to come out in February. However, it has been pushed back to June 2019. The movie is the same cast basically from Apocalypse, like Sophie Turner, Ty Sheridan, and it follows the famous X-Men storyline of Phoenix, the Dark Phoenix, the Phoenix Force, whatever, with that possesses Jean Grey. The trailer itself actually looked kind of cool. I'm actually I don't know. I was cynical about this movie before. However, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, what if this is like one of the good X-Men movies? It's not unfeasible that this one's good, despite all the problems they'd had with it. It's still a little bit disconcerting, though, that it's been pushed back to June. And more news is that not only that, but Gambit, the movie that somehow is still in production, I guess, apparently. I don't know how this thing is still in there, but this via IGN. Fox has just reportedly moved the release dates, as I said, for a few of its upcoming titles, including X-Men Dark Phoenix, Gambit, and Alita Battle Angel. Via Deadline, X-Men Dark Phoenix will move from its February 14th, 2019 release date and become a summer blockbuster with a new date of June 7th, 2019, following previous reports of reshoots. This is what's really worrisome about like a lot of things. I'm harping on this a little bit too much, but that they released the trailer and almost like, I'm going to say a little bit over a day-ish, maybe less than a day later, they announced that it's, coming out in June. So it's like, why would you not have the trailer come out that day and have the correct title card that says June? I don't know. It's just a little strange thing for me. I'm nervous about it. And also, previously set to be released on June 7th, Gambit has been moved into the next year and will now debut on March 13th, 2020. Channing Tatum is set to star as Gambit. As the producer has put it, it is a romantic comedy. I have no idea what that means, but I'm kind of in on it. I don't know why this movie hasn't come out yet, though. That's what doesn't make any sense. It's been too long. I'm worried about it. We'll see what happens. Next story on the list, though. Still for more Fox News, a new PG-13 version of Deadpool 2 is going to be released on December 21st of this year. Ryan Reynolds made the announcement, sort of in his very quirky sense of humor on Twitter. A lot of people are upset about this based on the initial reaction to it because, one, that it's not more new Deadpool stuff, but that it's a recut. And a lot of people are worrying, is this Disney interfering and starting to test the waters for whether or not this is an avenue they want to go down with Deadpool and whether it can work as a PG-13 movie. I personally don't know if that's true. I think it's possible, but I don't know if they really want to touch this property. It's just too unique, and I don't think that they would risk it. I have a feeling they're going to let this thing do whatever it wants, at least for another movie or so. So we'll see how that pans out. December 21st for the PG-13 version of Deadpool 2, just in time for the holidays and all the kiddies. This news started to break a little while ago, but Black Mirror Season 5 got some information about that. Of course, the award-winning and iconic satirical / dark dystopic, I don't even know what to call this series, but it's expected to come to Netflix in December, according to a new Bloomberg report. And what's more is that's interesting is that apparently there will be an interactive episode introduced this season where you can choose the ending of the story, something like that, almost like a Telltale game. I know, obviously, Telltale's been under some bad press lately, but nevertheless, this is really, really cool idea. Black Mirror loves kind of, anteing up and kind of rising every time the season comes out, trying to, push the boundaries for what they can basically commentate on socially with all the things they've done. I didn't watch the last season, but I heard it was pretty cool. And my guy Jesse Plemons was in one of the episodes, so eventually I'll give it a check. Next up, Kathleen Kennedy is going to continue overseeing Star Wars until 2021. That is via The Hollywood Reporter. Star Wars' chief Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm deal extended for 3 years. Kathleen Kennedy has reignited her lightsaber. The lead producer and architect of the Star Wars franchise has renewed her contract to remain president of Lucasfilm for another 3 years through 2021, the Hollywood Reporter has learned. The movie is a vote of confidence in Kennedy, who took command of Lucasfilm after Disney's $4 billion acquisition from George Lucas in 2012 and has overseen the relaunch of Star Wars, one of the most revered movie properties in cinematic history. Disney's 4 new Star Wars films have grossed almost $4.5 billion at the worldwide box office. Ancillary and merchandising have brought billions more into the studio's coffers. So a lot of people are, I don't want to say a lot, but some people are a little bit annoyed by this. They think that Kathleen Kennedy ruined Star Wars. And Trevor, did you want to add a comment to this real quick? Hold on one second.
It's a very big contention that there's some Star Wars fans that want her gone, and there's some Star Wars fans who just don't care anymore, and they want the whole series to be on a break right now. Mm-hmm. And that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, I get that.
Opinion.
Talked about that last week, how, I'm going to shut you off real quick. Talked about that last week, how there was a lot of talk about how Bob Iger confirmed that they're going to start slowing down with the Star Wars movies, not putting out a movie every year. Probably a promising strategy for them to not oversaturate this. And now into some funny, not the biggest stories, but here's a fun one that I like. Happy Death Day 2 has got its sequel, obviously sequel. It's got its title, I should say. This via Variety. Blumhouse and Universal Pictures are throwing another slasher birthday rager following the success of 2017's Happy Death Day. The film's original lead, Jessica Roth, will return the newly titled Happy Death Day to You. Great title. I love it. I'm all in. However, I don't know why this movie has a sequel, but whatever. I'm still going to see it. I actually thought that she was one of my more sneaky great performances from last year. I think this came out in last year. Yes, it came out in last year. I don't know. I thought that she was almost overqualified to be in that movie, and is one of the big reasons I like that movie so much. It just did what it said it was going to do, and I appreciate when movies are simple and do exactly what they are planning for. So Happy Death Day to You. It's going to be a little bit of a Valentine's Day special this 2019, so excited for that. Next on the story list, though, Ryan Reynolds is set to star in a movie called Free Guy. This via Collider that I'm reading from now. Ryan Reynolds to experience the existential dread of an NPC in Free Guy. Although the Deadpool franchise has become Ryan Reynolds' bread and butter, he's still getting out there and doing roles that don't require him to dress in red and black spandex. The Hollywood Reporter reports that the actor has signed on to star in the sci-fi action comedy Free Guy for director Sean Levy. The script, written by Matthew Matthew Lieberman, centers, in quotes, centers on a background character who realizes he's living in a video game. With the help of an avatar, he tries to prevent the makers of the game from shutting down his world. This is almost like the perfect avenue for him, considering that he already basically does this kind of self-referential comedy in Deadpool. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know, just a kind of random quirky story that I saw over the weekend. Excited for that. Expected to come out sometime in the next year. Roman Polanski, I saw this report the other day. His new movie has been announced. He's making a new movie called J'accuse. I don't know how to phrase that perfectly. It's about a wrongly accused soldier. This via Entertainment Weekly. Fugitive filmmaker Roman Polanski is moving forward on a film about the Dreyfus Affair, the 19th century scandal centering on a French Jewish soldier falsely accused of spying for the Germans. French producers Legend Films confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter that Polanski, who fled the United States in 1978 after pleading guilty to raping a 13-year-old girl, plans to start shooting the project, titled J'accuse. I hope I'm saying that right, but, whatever. In Paris later this year. A representative for Polanski confirmed to EW that he's shooting a new movie but declined to prove details. So, and just a couple more things. Per The Hollywood Reporter, the film is to star Jean Dujardin from The Artist, from The Artist, as the counter-espionage officer seeking to clear the name of Captain Alfred Dreyfus, whose trial for treason captured the hearts and minds of Parisians in the 1890s, particularly drawing attention from Émile Zola, whose famous editorial gave the film its title. The script is by British writer Robert Harris. So this is a big deal. A lot of people are annoyed by this because it seems like it's just odd to have a guy who has been, kind of, he pled guilty about, raping a 13-year-old, as I just mentioned before, and for him to come out and basically have this anti-Me Too thing. I got an idea, Roman Polanski. I think that if you want to be anti-Me Too, don't actually literally be the epitome of what the problems that Me Too is alleging. That's not how this works. You can't just start saying, see, these are how people get wrongly accused, but you actually were rightfully accused. So, whatever. Please, nobody go see that. Anyway, next story. A small one. Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers. This is kind of cool. Sony Pictures, from their Twitter account yesterday, teased a little picture of Mr. Rogers. The tweet says, Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers coming to a neighborhood near you, October 2019. Pretty much the perfect casting. I can't really see anything wrong with this. It makes sense why they would do this. I feel like he's already kind of a dad-like figure with what's his name? Wow, I lost his name. What's his name? Wow, Tom Hanks. Wow, it's literally right in front of me, and I just zoned out there. As you can see, Trevor, things go awry here on the Digital Dash sometimes. But yeah, really cool about that. Excited. October 2019 should be a big deal. I still have not seen Won't You Be My Neighbor yet for some reason. Yes, I know. I'm a shame on mankind. You haven't seen it either? Yeah, you haven't seen it either. Anyway, and then lastly on the list, a story that makes me very happy. Just some stuff about the anime My Hero Academia. A box office report. Trevor is now clapping in the background. This via IGN. My Hero Academia 2 Heroes opened strong at the North American box office. My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, the first feature film based on the popular My Hero Academia franchise, has had a strong opening at the North American box office, despite its limited release. According to Funimation, the film raked in nearly $2 million at the North American box office during the first 2 days of its limited 5-day run. This limited run began on September 25th in just over 500 theaters across North America. And also, one last thing about My Hero Academia is that season 4 has officially been confirmed, slated for a likely spring 2019 release date, with season 3 having just ended. And Trevor, you may now interject for a second here. Hello.
Yeah, I saw the My Hero Academia movie on last Thursday night. It was really packed. It was
really packed? Nice.
It was like,
I plan on seeing it too. It should be a lot of fun.
There was an All Might cosplay.
Nice.
From a Silver Age.
Nice.
And it's like, for me, this movie was perfect. It was like a perfect filler movie to basically explain to those non-anime fans listening. Filler means there's the in-between episodes, like there's stuff in between stuff. So it's kind of like having like a storyline that's not exactly connected, but still part of the main story.
Right. Right, you are, Trevor.
So basically, this film, without giving away spoilers...
Actually... Hold on real quick. Do you want to save this for the Comic-Con talk?
Yeah.
Or no? You want to save it for Comic-Con talk? All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a little bit of a break here, and when we get back, I'm going to go through some of the gaming news and my reads of the week, of course, which I introduced last week, was it? Yeah, my reads of the week that I'm recommending. And then Trevor's going to come on. We're going to talk about, as he mentioned, My Hero Academia, the movie 2 Heroes, and all this Comic-Con stuff. obviously, there's a lot to be heard. So stay tuned, folks. You're listening here on 90.3 WMSC. And we're back, everybody, here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Sorry for startling you there, Trevor, for a second. Voice got captured a little bit strangely. But, of course, still on the opening dash, going to go through some video game news updates from last week. First on the list, Sony is finally allowing crossplay on PS4, starting with global phenomenon Fortnite. This report via Kotaku. Having resisted for so long, Sony is finally giving and allowing crossplay on the PlayStation 4 for select third-party content, meaning PlayStation 4 owners will soon get to play the same game against people on competing consoles. In a blog post, Sony says, following a comprehensive evaluation process, SIE has identified, Sony Interactive Entertainment, has identified a path towards supporting cross-platform features for select third-party content. We recognize that PS4 players have been eagerly awaiting an update, and we appreciate the community's continued patience as we have navigated through this issue to find a solution. Just for me to translate that, all of you, they have not been trying to find a solution. It's just that they saw the PR fire from it, and they were like, oh, wow, maybe we should do what all the other companies are doing and let people from third-party games, not exclusive games, not exclusive type of games. It's these third-party things that have their own type of friends list and their own infrastructure, letting them do that. It already had been possible on Nintendo Switch and the Xbox One, and Sony, for some reason, was being really headstrong with this. They've always been that way. But this is a big deal. Fortnite, I think, is too big of a game for them to start kind of blocking people off from this content. So we'll see what happens in the future in terms of more games more games in the future that are allowed to have cross-play support. So that should be interesting. But still going with the PlayStation news, there will be no PSX this year. It was confirmed by Worldwide Studios chairman Sean Layden in a recent episode of the PlayStation blogcast that PSX 2018 is not happening. For people who don't know, PSX is kind of like the more niche, hardcore stage show for PlayStation that they usually do sometime during the fall or winter or whatever. And they usually show some games, show a little content, they have meetings, or they just have stage demos, or not even stage demos, but like packs, stuff like that for basically just the hardcore PlayStation stuff. So it's like I don't want to say a poor man's E3, but it's kind of like that. So no PSX this year. That's just a little bit of a report. Next on the list, though, this recently came out. Red Dead Redemption 2's new gameplay video just came out. The game is still slated for an October 26th release, with online expected to roll out later in November. Not much to say about it. Still looks dope. Rockstar's the best. The end. Moving on. Square Enix, next story. Square Enix confirms voice actors for Kingdom Hearts 3. This via IGN. I hate that I'm talking about this, but Kingdom Hearts is big news for literally anything that they do, apparently. So here we go. From IGN, Square Enix has finally confirmed some of the Kingdom Hearts 3 voice cast, primarily that a host of familiar voices from Disney movies are reprising their roles in KH3. In addition to Disney characters, Square Enix has confirmed that Haley Joel Osment, who originated the role of Sora in the Kingdom Hearts franchise, will return to voice the franchise protagonist in KH3. As for Disney characters, Square has confirmed the main cast for Frozen, Kristen Bell, Idina Menzel, Jonathan Groff, and Josh Gad will be returning to voice Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, and Olaf, respectively. Zachary Levi is returning from Tangled to voice Flynn Rider, and Tate Donovan is back to voice Hercules. You can check out the full article for more confirmed voices in this, but yeah, big deal. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of budget in this game. Obviously, they got all the Disney licenses, and they have Final Fantasy in there too. But it's cool to see that, yeah, they still have all the same voice cast, and they're still getting the Disney voices like Kristen Bell and Josh Gad from Frozen, so that should be interesting. I am looking forward to that game, and I say that cautiously because I have a lot of problems with the Kingdom Hearts franchise. I love the first game. The first game was my I'd say one of my 7 favorite games of all time. But I have a lot of things. I'm gonna get Adam Grassani on this because I know he loves Kingdom Hearts, and I'm gonna get him on the show one day to talk about this and my complaints. Next on the list, Konami has announced Castlevania Requiem. You must be wondering, what is that? What is that, you might be asking? This via Polygon. Konami is bringing 2 of its beloved Castlevania games, Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood, to PlayStation 4 for the first time in a new package called Castlevania Requiem. Requiem, right? Requiem? Requiem. Thank you. Thank you, Trevor. Castlevania Rondo of Blood was the 10th title in the franchise and was released exclusively in Japan in 1993. American players are more likely to recognize the game from its various ports and re-releases, or because Symphony of the Night, one of video game's all-time greats, was a direct sequel to it. So yeah, Castlevania Requiem will be available for purchase for PlayStation 4 on October 26th of this year for $19.99. Really cheap price for some awesome games. I've played Symphony of the Night Not the entirety of it, but I played it quite a lot, and it's famous for a reason. It's a great PlayStation classic, of course. And Rondo of Blood, I heard, is pretty good, but for the most part, Castlevania's really kind of iconic series, I'd say. Really iconic series that is, lost its relevance a little bit, but it's making a little mini bit of a comeback lately with this announcement and the fact that they got some characters of the series in Smash Brothers that'll be out in December. So that's kind of cool. Just to mention that. Next up, this one's a giant story, so I'm just going to read the beginning of it. This is Telltale Games is under fire for prioritizing The Walking Dead conclusion in wake of mass layoffs. We talked about this last week, that developer Telltale Games, most notably known for Sam & Max, the Batman series, The Wolf Among Us, and The Walking Dead, that they basically closed down aside from a select few people. But now reading from The Verge, developer Telltale Games, maker of the popular episodic narrative games like The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, is still dealing with the aftermath of an effective studio closure last Friday that saw around 250 employees, or 90% of its workforce, laid off without severance. So that's the key here, is that they did not get their severance pay. So a lot of people are upset because they have been pushing that they're still going to try and get The Walking Dead Season 2 out by the end of this. But people are wondering, well, you should probably pay your staff first. So I'm not going to get into this. It's a whole article. You can find all kinds of things. This one that I was reading from is from The Verge. You can check that out. It's really unfortunate, but people got to understand that this is what happens in the gaming industry. And yes, it's a shame, but unless you're with one of those big not big corporations, big developers, whatever, big studios, your job seems seemingly always on the line, and it's really unfortunate to see. And I hope that the employees get their overtime payments and whatnot. And lastly, a new Death Stranding trailer, the Hideo Kojima game that is, I guarantee you, never coming out. No, I'm just kidding. The game's probably going to come out in my opinion, there's no way this is a PlayStation 4 game. But it added Troy Baker to its star-studded cast. The Uncharted voice actor joins the action in a new trailer for the PS4 exclusive. For those who don't know, Troy Baker he's kind of one of the more famous voice actors in the gaming industry. So that's a pretty big deal. The trailer's cool, literally makes no sense, and you have no idea what's going on. Like many Kojima games, you never know what's going on. Still no release date of any kind. I guarantee you this is a PS5 game or whatever the next PlayStation game is, or a PlayStation console is. I don't think it's coming out for a while, but still interesting. I recommend people looking up the trailers. They look weird, and you're probably going to wonder if you're high on Quaaludes after you finish watching them. But that's it for gaming news. And lastly, of course, I introduced this last week, the Reads of the Week, where I pick three things that I read last week that I thought were really insightful or enjoyable or entertaining or what have you. First off, Inside Barstool Sports' Culture of Online Hate by Robert Silverman. You can find this on the Daily Beast. I'm not a fan of Barstool Sports. I think that they appeal to a crowd that is, let's just say it's a crowd that I seemingly never get along with. Not the sports fan crowd, but the alpha male, semi-misogynistic, and just frat boy type of lifestyle. You know what I mean? And you just did the pounding of the head type of thing. There you go.
Like guys named Chad.
Yeah. What are you going to say?
Like guys named Chad.
Yeah, like guys named Chad, perfectly. So yeah, check that out. It's a really great read. It really goes through what exactly has happened. You know what I mean? What has happened over the years, their behavior online and all that stuff. So that's one of my recommendations. And next, It's All Fun and Games Until You Run Out of Coins by Stephanie George O. Pilos. You can find this on The Great Escape, which is a kind of faction in Medium, which is a blog posting website. It basically covers kind of this story about how freemium games were a welcome distraction, but then it ruined this person's life, because they kept spending money on it. It's a fascinating read. It's a long one. It's about 15 minutes, 15-minute read on Medium, but it's a good one. So I really recommend people checking that out. And then lastly, the NBA Meme Bracket by Jason Concepcion of The Ringer. This actually just came out today. The Ringer's doing this whole kind of NBA week celebration, NBA preview celebration. This is one of my favorite things I've read. I haven't finished it yet, but it's great. Jason Concepcion is one of the great creative writers, I'd say, working in the sports industry, especially today. And it's a bracket, March Madness style, doing all the memes, like the James Harden look away, all the crying Jordan, and it's a bracket. It's a really fun read, and everyone who's into NBA culture will understand what I'm talking about and understand why it is a must read. So yeah, that's my reads for the week. Now we're going to take a little bit of break, and when we get back, finally, I've been blabbering enough. My friend Trevor Gioia is going to come on, and we're going to talk about Comic-Con and probably riff on My Hero Academia 2 Heroes a little bit. You won't want to miss it, guys. Stay tuned. You're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. And we're back here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. You're listening to the Digital Dash. Just got done blabbering about the latest in gaming and movie, television news. And now, as I always say, I've said it's, I don't know how many times I have to say it, Trevor. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I only allow illustrious guests on the Digital Dash is Mr. Trevor Gioia.
Trevor Gioia.
Trevor Gioia. I said his name wrong. I've been saying his name wrong for a while. Apparently.
It's like people like pronounce it wrong. It's just this whole joke.
Yeah, I get you.
Like
hey, you see my name? Trust me, I'm used to
Javier Reyes.
Yeah, I'm used to people saying like I've been called Xavier for some reason before.
No, I have a friend named Javier. So
so that's how you got it.
So I know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you're here to talk about Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Because you will be going.
This will be my 4th year in a row going.
Really? To the, I assume, the New York one.
The New York one.
Nice.
My first convention was Walker Stalker Con, which was here in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day my friend Javier said he had a spare ticket. So he's like, hey, want to come to New York Comic Con? I'm like, sure. And it was like my first one. So I dressed up as Daredevil.
Nice.
Train suit Daredevil from Frank Miller's run.
Nice. I like that.
And last year, I think 2 years before that, I dressed as Evil Morty from Rick and Morty.
Nice.
And this past year.
Yeah, what are you doing this year? That's what I was about to ask. What do you got cooked up in that head of yours?
Last year I did Indiana Jones.
Nice.
From Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Good. Okay, good.
This year I'm either thinking of doing Flash Gordon.
Okay.
From the 1980s Flash Gordon movie.
Yeah.
For those people,
it's a deep cut, but yeah,
for
those who know.
For those people who are gonna be like walk by me and be like, I don't want to dye my hair blonde. That's the only thing that I don't want to do.
I get that.
But
so, really quickly though, just what is Comic-Con? Because some people might be a little bit confused. Because I think, and honestly, understandably so.
Yeah.
It used to be just kind of literally what it said, Comic-Con, and it's evolved. So try and give like a little bit of a synopsis of what is Comic-Con?
New York Comic-Con is this event that happens every year around October, the first or second weekend in October.
Mm-hmm.
It's this like it's basically the East Coast version of San Diego Comic-Con, but more subtle and more
subtle. Mm-hmm.
And just more about TV shows,
right,
and less about movies.
Yeah, I feel like the San Diego Comic-Con, correct me if I'm wrong here, is more famous in terms of just having like the bigger trailer droppings and celebrities are there.
You have the bigger trailer drops. You have stuff that you would just be like, you would just watch the live blog online. You can watch the live blog online, and you're just like, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
For New York Comic-Con, experiencing it it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year, I got to be in a Star Wars commercial.
That's awesome.
And,
That's awesome.
And sorry,
No
but for me, it's just New York Comic-Con is just the pulse for one weekend of everything that's geek culture.
The pulse. That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for you. You said TV.
Yeah.
You said like it's more focused on TV stuff.
Yes.
Now, will The Good Place be there?
I don't think so.
Oh,
they were at New York
Darn
Comic-Con.
it.
They were at San Diego.
Oh, they're at San Diego. Okay.
So
I love that show. You know I love that show.
Yeah, I haven't gotten around to watching it. It's just the fact that I'm just like, I'm in between shows right now. I'm in between watching Venture Brothers and
okay, nice.
And I'm into watching that right now, and I'm into watching like a lot of smaller shows because I can't like dedicate myself to a whole like.
Yeah, we're all busy out here.
Yeah,
everybody's busy out here. I can attest to that for sure.
But for me, like New York Comic Con, I really want to go to the I'm going on Friday, so Friday usually has some good stuff lined up.
Right.
The stuff on Friday is
Friday, correct?
This Friday.
Just clarifying.
Yeah. And the one thing that I do is like you follow a set of rules. Always take a shower before you go.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Because some people don't do that, and it's disgusting.
A lot of costumes, a lot of sweat, I assume,
yeah.
because of how really extravagant these things are.
Oh yeah,
like people commit.
I saw my first year at Comic-Con. I saw a life-size Hulkbuster.
Is that the craziest one you've seen before? A Hulkbuster?
You know Overwatch?
Yes.
Somebody dressed as Reinhardt, life-size.
Reinhardt,
life-size.
How?
Like
Reinhardt's huge. Reinhardt's like Mr. Incredible.
I should have taken a picture of it. It was like life size.
That's
incredible. And it was like life size from the game, and he used all foam and stuff.
Wow, it's amazing.
Didn't talk to him, but I'm just like, looked at him like,
yeah.
I looked at him passing by, and I was in the line for like the to get into the convention center.
Yeah,
you're like looking at him for a second, and you're just like, what is going on?
It's like. Here's how I'm gonna give a descriptor. Try and do an analogy, which I'm famous for, of course. It's almost like college spring break, except it's for the nerd culture.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it feels like. It's just a celebration. You got all kinds of craziness around there.
Oh, yeah.
People dressing up as Bumblebee. I've seen before with like like they literally transform into a car. And
I've seen. I have a picture on my phone. If this was
visual,
this was visual,
of course it is.
Just imagine like a group of cosplayers dressed up as the DC characters, but it's Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Nice. Yeah, that's perfect.
All Rocky Horror Picture Show
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
And I have like the rule of like, this year I'm bringing my water bottle because I'm not buying the water there. It's so expensive.
Makes sense.
The food there, in the food court, no.
No,
you don't buy the food at the food court.
No on the
it's
food
like,
court food from
you know, like how how Montclair's food is just okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
But it
just-
gets the job done though.
It gets the job done.
It gets the job done.
But they
Okay.
have food trucks.
Yeah, I know they do have.
They
trucks.
they,
I've seen
they have
that.
the food trucks, so you can go to that.
Now, let me ask you.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to the most? Because there's so much. Like
there's so much. There's
yeah.
like your brain is overloaded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I've been going there, and usually I go to the Styling Online T-shirt. You know the website Styling Online.
No, I don't. Explain that.
They have this whole like Styling Online is like a T-shirt place where you can buy like online merch and all that stuff. It's okay. Like it's kind of like superhero stuff.
Right. Interesting.
But it's just like they usually have some good T-shirts. Like I got a Star Wars San Diego Comic-Con T-shirt from New York Comic-Con.
Nice. Yeah, you have a lot of awesome T-shirts, by the way.
Like for people who don't know me, I have like a huge collection of T-shirts, and it's because I go to conventions and I go to a lot of places and buy insane T-shirts because I have this eye. Because I'm a filmmaker, so I get bored. I'm like, I want to buy that shirt.
I got you. I've been looking at T-shirts lately too.
Yeah.
I might get one for next week. You'll see it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't know. Got a limited budget right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. For me too. I'm just like I have to like. For me, I really can't wait to meet guests. There's gonna be 2 guests that I really want to meet, but I have to choose one.
Okay.
You know Tokoyami.
Yes.
The voice actor for Tokoyami is going to be there.
Trevor, of course, is referring to My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
One of the characters is Tokoyami, who's a shadow manipulator, I guess.
Yeah, he's
for those who haven't seen the show.
And it's like he has this awesome powers, and it's basically he's OP.
Is it the dub or is it the
dub?
The dub actor?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I think personally that a lot of dubs in anime are not what they used to be. I think that they're actually like
people
like options. I think they work now.
People are like, oh, I don't watch the dubs anymore. I'm like, for me,
they've gotten better.
I can't.
I know what you mean.
I can't focus.
Yeah,
it's like,
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. It's hard to like. It's just a little bit different, and I understand some people don't mind at all. And in a lot of anime, in my experience, the voice acting in Japanese is a bit better. They're more animated. Like I'm talking classic stuff, like Yu Yu Hakusho type stuff.
Yeah.
Ken Fist of the North Star type stuff.
Yeah.
But then with My Hero Academia, Cowboy Bebop, which you and I love, of
my
course.
God.
Cowboy Bebop might be one of the few where it is actually better in the English dub. I would argue. Shout out Steve Bloom, and so that's one of the interesting things. That's awesome. I'm really excited. That's awesome.
I hope
it's a sick thing.
The other thing, the other actor that I really want to meet, but I have to like think about my budget for that one.
Yeah.
Is Zachary Levi.
Okay. For
Chuck,
what?
for Chuck and Shazam. For those who don't know, like Chuck is an awesome show that people should watch.
I've heard about it. What is it about?
It's like a guy. It's like a mild mannered guy like us, like a nerd like us, who just gets these implants of like spy.
Move closer to the mic, by the way.
Spy information into his head, so it's just really funny. He gets into ridiculous situations. I like it.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like you've mentioned this to me before. Now with Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. What's one of the how do I put this? What's an inconvenience of going? What do you think is like if there are any? There might be no downs, and maybe everyone should just drop what they're doing and go right now.
There's so much inconveniences. There's so much.
Like what can people expect?
Like if you go there are 2 things that I would warn people about. There is going to be usually a long line for the Funko booth because the Funko booth is just going to be like people who want to buy those exclusives.
Yeah, and what is Funko?
Funko is a bobblehead company, and they buy and they sell bobbleheads of pop culture figures and all that stuff.
From quite literally everything.
Literally everything. So I don't have the list on me right now because the New York Comic Con subreddit is just like is just like, oh, freaking out.
Yeah, they're
oh.
losing it. Yeah, because they're so close.
Yeah, because they're just like, oh my god. I saw one guy in the subreddit just say like, I had to cancel my hotel, and I'm like, I feel so bad for you.
Imagine people who are like not in New York too.
Yeah.
Imagine that, like people who are like traveling for this.
Yeah.
It's like the same way when people travel out to San Diego, because I know people do that. Now, you're doing some coverage of this, I believe.
I'm gonna try and do some coverage, and it's gonna be very hard but very intense.
It's for WMSC.
Yeah,
correct?
for WMSC.
That's what I like to hear.
And
Rep the home team. On College Radio Day will be the first day that you're going, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so it's just I'm gonna get there like probably 8:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to get there early.
My friend, he's crazy. My one friend that I go with, who's the other Javier, just to
that shouldn't confuse the listeners at all.
No, he's my friend Javier Gonzalez,
my doppelganger, the fake Javier.
He's basically, he doesn't think like me, and like he doesn't think the fact that, oh, I should get there early for New York Comic Con. He gets there at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
He's like the Spike Spiegel between you two.
Yeah, he gets there and he's like,
or the Shikamaru, if I may.
So guys, I'm here, and I'm like, where are you?
Yeah, where are you? It's like 4 hours late. Yeah.
He's like, I think I'm at the booth where Marvel is. I'm like, I'll be up there soon. I'm just like, I'm getting my autograph done, and it's just like, can you just come really quickly? And I'm like, I can try, but I'm still in line for the autograph.
Now, I got a good thing for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're telling all your stories, your trials and tribulations, if I may. You want to hear a funny story about me going to Comic-Con?
What?
All right, so I went back in high school for my graphic storytelling class, which was kind of this 1 year or maybe 2 years. I don't remember. This happened my freshman year of high school, and they kind of discontinued it after this year. And it was taught by my English teacher who also did this class. And it was basically about graphic storytelling, graphic novels. It went over, I forgot the name of it, but that famous Marvel comic where it's the perspective of the people. I forgot what this was called. It's a famous book. It's like the super kind of hyper-focused art. I forgot what this is called.
The Alex Ross art?
Yes. You know the novel I'm talking about, right?
I think I do, but I don't know. Is it Marvel? Is it Marvel? Just Marvel Knights?
No, not Marvel Knights. It's like Marvel... I don't know. I'll look it up during the break. But we studied that. We studied Watchmen. We studied
Watchmen.
like a bunch of graphic novels. It was a really interesting class. And I remember that was one of the few things that started to make me think, maybe I shouldn't judge things. Because I kind of was just like, all right, I'll go in this class. And I liked it because I liked superheroes a lot, but I didn't know if I would like a whole class on it. Like, oh, that's too nerdy. It was really cool. And one of the things that happened is we went to New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, by the way. We went for one day. It was a field trip. And I met one of the illustrators for Deadpool.
Yeah.
One of the artists for Deadpool.
Yeah.
And what happened, this is going to make me sound awful. Yeah. But of course, if people have listened long enough, everyone knows I am an awful person. So this shouldn't surprise everybody. I gave, because I just decided to buy, I believe I bought this because one of my friends, he didn't have money and he loves Deadpool. So I bought him the comic and the guy autographed it or whatever. So it was like, $5 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then in change, I had no idea, I promise. In change, he gave me a $100 bill.
Oh my God.
So I just, without thinking, I put it in my wallet. I guess I was distracted for some reason.
Yeah.
So then I go and buy a cheesesteak.
Oh no.
I just take out first thing. I'm not looking. I'm feel bad about it. And we're about to leave, so I'm buying a cheesesteak. And then the guy goes, that'll be a $96 and change. So I'm like, or like 94, 93 probably. You know how expensive this stuff is, right? So, and I'm like, what? Like I lost my mind. I was like, what are you talking about? And it happened, and I got $93 of change, and I was just like, what is going on? This can't be. And we were leaving, so I panicked, and I'm going to be honest with you, maybe I could have went and found the guy, but you know me, I'm a dumb freshman kid. I was like, oh, cool, free money. It's an awful thing. Don't take money from people. Go back and don't be like me. I don't remember, though. I remember that we had to go, and I honestly didn't know. And then I remember we were on the bus, and we were thinking, dude, where do you think it was the change that guy gave you? And I was like, maybe. So then that's what we assumed. Maybe it wasn't from him, but I assume it was he accidentally gave me $100. So that's my Comic-Con story.
Yeah, my most nerdiest Comic-Con story is me getting in line for something that we didn't know what to expect with. Mm-hmm. It was a Star Wars commercial.
Yeah.
So I'll send you the link later.
Nice.
It's basically this video of like there was these props from The Last Jedi because The Last Jedi was about to release.
Right.
So they had props from the movie. You had to sign a waiver. You had to sign
you have to do a lot for those things.
No, you had to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Ooh.
So.
Ooh, I like this. Okay, keep going.
So I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I'm like, me and Alex turned to each other. We're like, is this the new Star Wars trailer?
Your friend Alex.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know him.
Yeah, I know him. I'm just making sure people got to know.
Me and him turned to each other. We're like, are they gonna show us the new Star Wars trailer? That's how.
That'd be amazing.
That's how nerdy we were at that moment. We're like,
hey, I feel that.
We're like, if they do, then I'm gonna be like happy as can be.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, we walked in and we're like, I was wearing my Indiana Jones outfit. And I'm like, and they're like, oh, we're gonna show you some props. And I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden the lights went flashing. And then they showed my picture up on the screen. I'm like, what did I do now? Did I do something wrong again?
Who?
I feel like I did something wrong.
You?
No.
What do you mean?
Because like there was like wanted by the First Order. I'm like, did I get caught by the First Order again?
Do you think that there will be any type of Star Wars stuff at Comic-Con this year?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I assume so too. But just wondering, what do you think is? Just list off now quickly. What are some other things you're looking forward to checking out?
I really want to check out the Netflix booth.
Netflix, right?
Netflix is supposedly gonna have a presence there,
right?
But I don't know how big and don't know how like insane it's gonna be.
Netflix, huh? What else? Keep going. keep giving it to me.
Marvel is gonna be there, obviously, in their more comic book form and their more TV format.
They've been quiet ever since Infinity War. They're trying to be as quiet as possible.
I feel
aside
like
from that trailer for Captain Marvel, very quiet.
I feel like this is the most quiet I've seen out of them. And the Marvel Studios subreddit is so bored right now.
Yeah.
Like if you ever Reddit is just this place where you can get all the news from. And basically the Marvel Studios subreddit is so quiet right now. They're so bored and they're picking at grass.
Yeah.
They're just like that kid in the background who's just picking at grass and they're like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. The boredom funds.
Yeah. But I think like the bigger presences are going to be more TV.
More TV, right?
BBC America, Amazon is going to be there.
Yeah. So for people who aren't attending, they probably should not, I assume, expect any public type of stuff. Like there probably won't be too many trailers released. I assume.
No. There probably will be a new trailer for Mortal Engines.
Oh wow, I forgot about that thing. What is going on with that?
So
go through that really quickly.
So supposedly, like, it's gonna come out December 14th, which I actually think is gonna be an okay film. I don't want to say that because we might get.
I totally forgot this was coming out.
Yeah, I'm like supposedly, like I talked to Annabelle about something, but I'm not here to say. Okay. But we'll see. But for me, I'm just like, it looks okay. Like I don't. Like it looks decent.
But also shout out Annabelle. She's awesome.
She's Annabelle.
The general manager here at WMSC.
She's amazing.
Now, I have to ask you.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
I know Nickelodeon is going to be there.
Nickelodeon's going to be there.
DC Warner Brothers is going to be there.
DC Warner Brothers is going to be there.
So they're going to have the Aquaman stuff.
Right. That makes sense. That movie's coming out soon, so.
And probably the Shazam costume.
Right. You think there'll be any like new gaming announcements? Any gaming?
Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be there.
Interesting. Oh, that's right.
So
I was just talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not a big Kingdom Hearts fan, so I'm not gonna stand in line. I'm not gonna stand in line for just like a demo.
A live demo, though. A lot of people. But like, what's funny about Kingdom Hearts is everyone who like is kind of in the video game sphere.
Yeah.
They know though how popular that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if you don't like it, you're like you know.
Yeah.
You can see it everywhere. It's always on Twitter.
I should send a picture of you when I go and I see the demo.
Yeah.
I'll just take a picture for you and see how long the line is.
Oh man. It's gonna be like E3, I assume, where like you know how at E3 they have these crazy long lines for demos and stuff.
It's
gonna be like that for Kingdom Hearts.
I think 2 years ago they had a Resident Evil 7 set up. And that was really interesting.
Now, before we start to close things down, talk to me about My Hero Academia.
Without going into spoilers, or
no, don't go into spoilers. I haven't seen it, man. Don't spoil it for me.
Okay, basically the movie takes place between. Can I tell you?
Yeah, you can say when it takes place between.
It takes place after season 2 and takes place before the training arc.
Okay, of season 3.
Of season 3.
Okay.
So basically, that's gonna be like the first half. That's like to basically break it down for people. It's gonna be like the first half of season. It's gonna be like the in between.
The in between. I get that. I get that. It's like Rogue One type of thing, an in between type of thing.
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, it's like that. So it's. I really don't want to go into spoilers because I don't.
Please don't.
Really,
Just give a basic overview. Should people see this?
It's basically really good, but it doesn't have like it has such good pacing.
I like to hear that.
Its pacing is like fantastic. It didn't feel slow. It felt like the right amount of movie.
Hour and 35 minutes.
Hour and 35. It was really good, and like they had stuff from season 3 soundtrack. Like
pretty dope.
Like the All Might versus All for One fight.
Oh man.
Soundtrack.
Oh man. Now you're speaking my language. I'm excited to see it. Now, for people who don't know, do you think that I assume people who haven't watched the show probably shouldn't jump into the movie?
No, they shouldn't jump into the movie. They should not.
Not a true standalone thing. Like many anime movies, I feel like they're better. Very few series. I think Cowboy Bebop has a movie that you can kind of just jump into. But besides that,
I feel like this is one of the few animes that I love to death. It's just
I love it too. I haven't finished the season though. See, because I know the finale, I believe, in season 3 came out. So
I'm 2 weeks behind.
Okay.
Because I'm on the.
Oh man, 2 weeks. I know what episode you're at then, and you're in for a treat. So
I watched the episode today. Really
I remember on the Morning Buzz today, I talked with Frankie and Molly, which everyone can check out. Morning Buzz 8 to 10 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
I personally am a news contributor on the Monday edition, which was today, and we talked about My Hero Academia, and I just love that show. It's so smart. It's so smart.
It's one of the few shows that actually understands how to write a actual good anime show.
It knows how to do that. It knows how to respect the superhero comic book culture.
Yeah.
It pays homage to them. It knows how to have literally, I'd say, like 15 characters on the show that I actually genuinely care about. Yeah. Whether it be comic relief or also great diversity of characters. A lot of strong female characters. Uraraka is probably my favorite on that show, honestly.
Uraraka got the best. Uraraka got
Really?
the best reaction in theaters.
Really?
Todoroki got the best reaction.
Really?
Bakugo got the best reaction.
Oh.
Bakugo,
I'm excited, man.
Bakugo got this level of reaction where it's like, yeah. Like,
that sounds awesome. I'm gonna try. Now, what theater did you see it at?
I saw it at AMC Garden State Plaza.
In AMC Garden State Plaza. I'm gonna try and catch a show. I just don't know when I'll be free because I'm leaving on Thursday night.
It was so crazy.
I know. I wish I went to go see it. I could have saw it on Saturday. But
if you came with us, you would have been fine.
I know.
Because I should have texted. I should.
It's okay. I probably would have made it, but still, I'm sad at myself.
But like it was like Thursday night. We went.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I wouldn't have been able to then. I was watching football.
No, just skip football.
I couldn't though. I'm stupid. You know what I mean? I can't stop watching it.
Like I'm not knocking football or anything like that. I'm just like, if there's a movie that's limited release, and you can watch the football rerun on NFL Red Zone or NFL or ESPN.
I watch it with my friend every Thursday night game, and we're fantasy football addicts, unfortunately, and we just can't stop. I mean, I actually didn't watch this one with him because he was a bum and showed up late, so I saw it by myself. It was actually a great game though. So to be fair, Trevor, I saw an amazing game. But any closing thoughts on Comic-Con? What days will you be going? Because I know this is a multi-day event.
I'm very cheap as well.
Mm-hmm. So are you only going one day?
I'm only going one day.
So Friday.
Because I can't to give people an idea of how exhausting New York Comic Con is. It's very exhausting. Mm-hmm. It's just like you go and you're up for long periods of hours.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You can't find a good seat.
It's like imagine how tiring it is just to be in the city, and now the act of being active in the city. That's what it feels like.
Basically, it's like. I basically have it's crazy. It's crazy. By the end of it, you need one thing that if you're going to New York Comic Con, people are going, wear comfortable shoes. Do not listen to those people who are just going to say, I've had somebody say to me, oh, you're going to dress up as Indiana Jones. Why'd you wear sneakers? I'm like,
nice.
I'm like, do you ever walk on a show floor?
I feel you, man.
Do you ever walk on a convention for
So be prepared. Be prepared, everybody.
Yeah.
Comic-Con 2018. Trevor's going to be going, possibly reporting for WMSC.
I will be try to reporting. So.
We are at the top of the hour here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Saying our final thoughts, our final things on Comic-Con. Trevor, you've been a great guest, sir.
Thank you.
As to be expected.
Yeah.
I don't know what people were expecting. Nothing but illustrious guests. People think it's a joke. No, I'm not kidding. I only have the best. Only.
If you
that's just what happens.
If you need me to come on again,
of course, man. Once you're in the Digital Dash Mafia, you never get out. Okay, that's how things work, right, man?
The only way you get out is by concrete shoes.
Yeah, exactly. So, Trevor, it was a blast having you on, man. Gonna take a little bit of a break now, guys, and when we get back, I'm gonna do my NFL Week 5 picks, and then talk about Slice, then talk about The Good Place, and then talk about the Yankees. I know, all over the place today. It's a great show, though. Trevor, you were a great guest. Looking forward to having you on another time, perhaps. You're listening to Digital Dash here on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair. And what's up, guys? We're back here on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair. You're listening to the Digital Dash, my radio show. And we just got finished talking with my friend Trevor Gioia about Comic-Con, who... it sounds fun. We talked about My Hero Academia a little bit and all the things you can expect from the show, of course. He's going on Friday and should be reporting, or at least might be reporting for some stuff for WMSC here. So stay tuned for that. But now we're getting to my next topic, and that's NFL Week 5 picks. All right, going to run through these semi-quickly this time. And last week, let me tell you, my picks did not go well. Not too well. I got the Browns losing correctly, though. Because as people everywhere know, you probably shouldn't bet on the Browns to win 2 consecutive games because they're the Cleveland Browns, and they managed to Browns it, So that was one of the big things that happened. You had the 49ers almost beat my Chargers. Giants lost, of course. Jets lost, of course. But for the most part, it wasn't like a crazy surprising weekend. But still, it had I don't know. It was kind of a simple weekend. I mean, the Falcons lost in a heartbreaking last-second touchdown from Andy Dalton to A.J. Green. And that was cool, I guess. And tonight, of course, the week isn't over yet. We've got Kansas City playing Denver at Denver. That game's slated for an 8:15 start. Kansas City's probably going to win that one, but who cares? I'm probably not going to watch. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. Let's do it. It's only me today. No Anthony this time because I didn't want to spend too much time on it because I know me and him really get caught up in all the football and we get super nerdy about it. And then before you know it, it's 6:15 and we spent 3 hours or 2 hours talking about football. And then it's oh my gosh, I thought this was an entertainment show. So here we go. It's just me this week, ladies and gentlemen. So let's begin with this Thursday's game. The Indianapolis Colts are taking on the New England Patriots. The line is currently New England -10. It is in New England. Colts have a 1-3 record, and the Patriots are 2-2 after their win against the Miami Dolphins this past Sunday. So the Pats they love doing this thing every year where you're hoping almost, because a lot of people hate the Patriots, you're hoping that they're bad. You hope that their 1-2 record means that this is finally the end. And as we saw on Sunday, probably not. They didn't play overwhelmingly impressive. It's just that the Dolphins, I think we learned that they're kind of fake and that they had a 3-0 record basically because they beat up on a bunch of nobody teams. They got not Cincinnati. They got Tennessee week 1. Congratulations, you beat Tennessee. It was that 7-hour rain-delayed game back when Tennessee didn't really know how to play. Then I believe the following week after that, who is it that they had? They had the who was it? They played Tennessee, and then they played the Jets. Cool. I mean, you went in there, beat the Jets, but barely. And then they played Oakland, and they came back at the last second against the Raiders. Who cares? And then they only get 7 points against the Patriots and get absolutely demolished. So I'm not buying the Dolphin type at all. But anyway, with the Patriots, Colts at Patriots, this is kind of just a really unfortunate matchup for them because I really think the Colts haven't been that bad this year. Andrew Luck is slightly looking like himself again. I thought he looked pretty good, actually. I know that the Colts head coach decided to give away the win by calling a timeout in overtime when they tried to do the icing the kicker thing. And I said this on the Morning Buzz this morning, and I was like, the type of coaches that think that the icing the kicker strategy still works and that it's statistically, valuable and sound, those are the type of people who don't believe in global warming and they just don't read and they don't understand how football works. Those are the type of people who still do that. So what happened is the Texans kicker missed the first kick, but he called the timeout, so that one didn't count. Then the second try, he made it and won. So my thing has always been, I think this worked maybe once. It worked for a period of time, maybe 6 years ago, where nobody had ever seen this. They didn't know about the strategy of calling a timeout before the kick. And look what happens. Kickers are now prepared for it. They know that they're probably going to kick 2. It's almost like going for free throws now. Why are you doing this? It's the law of statistics. Stop calling timeouts before the kick. It doesn't make a difference. Stop trying to prove that you saw something because you're a genius coach. You're not. Just stop with the stupid timeouts. I'm going to lose my mind. Anyway, picking the Patriots in this one. I don't really see the... Actually, I think this line is a little bit high. I actually think the Colts might make this one competitive. We haven't, to be fair, seen the Patriots at their best yet, although they do get Julian Edelman back this week after his suspension. I believe they get him back this week. So maybe that's what's kind of, pushing this over the top, but I don't know. I'm still going to pick the Pats because I don't like picking against the Patriots, and I know that the Colts seem like they're due, but I don't think it comes this week. I think they fall to 1-4, unfortunately, even though I don't actually think they're that bad. I don't think they've been too bad this year. Now moving on to the Sunday games, we got the Tennessee Titans taking on the Buffalo Bills. Titans are 3-1 after their really shocking upset of the Eagles this Sunday, and they're taking on the Buffalo Bills, who are 1-3. The line is currently Tennessee -3. Now that's a good example of a line that should be a lot higher. Tennessee was kind of this preseason sleeper heading into the year, where I think that a lot of people were excited about that offense. A lot of people were excited about that new coach. I kind of like that they got rid of their last coach because he wasn't good for them. He clearly didn't understand Mike Mularkey. Clearly didn't utilize the talent on that team, whether it be Mariota or it be Corey Davis or what have you. I thought they had a lot of talent last year, but they were just kind of meh, even though they made the playoffs. I know they made the playoffs last year, but bottom line is I think they limped in. And this year, they've really played a good game. I think their defense is kind of legit. I like some of their skill position players, with Corey Davis. I know they lost Delaney Walker for the year, but I like Deion Lewis as a pass-catching back mostly. I think he makes a lot of big plays for them. And most importantly, of course, Mariota. Marcus Mariota looks really good. I saw that game, and I was like, this guy is making plays out of the pocket. He looks clutch. There was a point when he completed 14 straight passes to bring them back within scoring distance to beat the Eagles, and they did. They beat them in overtime, which was pretty shocking. I thought the Eagles had that one in the bag. So the Eagles have kind of been limping this year. I still think they're one of the 5 best teams in the NFL, but they're just trying to find their footing, so they haven't really found it yet. But yeah, Titans taking on the Bills. I think we saw the real Buffalo Bills. They got killed by Green Bay this past week. Or not killed, but they never really had anything going. And Josh Allen is going through the growing pains as a rookie. So honestly, I see that continuing. I think the Titans come in here and they beat them rather soundly. I'm going to say like something like 30-12. I don't know. I don't like predicting scores, but I think the Titans are a nice post-hype candidate right now. I don't think a lot of people are talking about them because they started off so slow and their offense was so atrocious. I think they're starting to find their footing. That Eagles win is impressive. I know it was in Tennessee, but still, that's impressive. Because that Eagles defense is also legit. So I'm picking the Titans here in not very close one over the Bills to send them to 4-1. Next game up, we've got the Miami Dolphins taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Woo! Man, the Bengals. I remember I had my friend Mike Cavalier here over the summer, and we did our standings predictions, and we were all talking about the AFC North, and we were like, there's something wrong here. Like, Pittsburgh is just, there's too many concerns with that team, and we felt like we were just writing them in. At least I did. I thought Pittsburgh would win the division. Right now, though, it kind of looks like it might be Cincy or Baltimore. Baltimore played a really great game last night. They held Pittsburgh down pretty easily, actually, in Pittsburgh, too. And Ravens' defense was good. They have Justin Tucker, much to the chagrin of yours truly because of Justin Tucker being on my opponent's fantasy team. So I'm probably going to lose unless Demaryius Thomas gets 30,000 points tonight. Fingers crossed. And, on the other side of the barn, the Dolphins I don't think are good. I think that Ryan Tannehill, for some reason, doesn't get enough, I don't want to say crap, but doesn't get enough blame. I think people think this guy's like a up-and-coming good quarterback, and it's like he's been in the league for like 6-7 years right now. I think we know what he is at this point. He's not very good. Sorry to break it to all the Dolphins fans. Ryan Tannehill's and they don't have a lot of good skill position players. They traded Jarvis Landry in the offseason. Kenyon Drake I don't think is all that. I think it says a lot that 40,000-year-old Frank Gore is getting touches over Kenyon Drake, and he hasn't been that good. Danny Amendola has been injured. They traded for him. He's not going to replace Jarvis Landry. I just don't think that team has much, and I think they kind of limped into 3-1, and I think they're going to regress a lot in this upcoming slate of games over the next few weeks. So I'm taking Cincinnati. The line is -6. That seems appropriate. Cincinnati going to 4-1. Cincinnati, they look like what they were a couple of years ago when Andy Dalton looked like an MVP. Their defense was playing all right. AJ Green at his peak. They got this Tyler Boyd kid now. And of course, thoughts go out to Mr. Tyler Eifert, who suffered this really gruesome injury during the Falcons game that I do not recommend anyone looking up. Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those like Gordon Hayward-esque injuries where you don't want to look at it. So nobody look that up if you don't want to puke. So yeah, taking the Bengals in that one. Next up, the Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. The Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. This game, the line is currently at -3. It is in Cleveland. Ravens, of course, as I just talked about, are 3-1, and the Browns are 1-2-1. So they lost to the Raiders. And here's the thing about the Browns. They remind me a lot of Houston from last year, where Houston, for the past like 3 or so years, have had this really great defense. Awesome defense. J.J. Watt, J.D. Clowney is coming into his own. And then, all they were missing is a quarterback. They had the receivers, Will Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins, obviously. Got a decent running back in Lamar Miller. And they finally got the quarterback last year in Deshaun Watson. He only played a little bit and, of course, had that awful injury that really killed that really was the epitome and the perfect summation of last year, with just tons of injuries. And Deshaun Watson comes in, and he's great. You know? He's great for them. And then all of a sudden, the Texans decide to stop playing defense. You know what I mean? And that's what it feels like lately, where the Texans do not have that number one caliber defense anymore. I know it's early, but they have looked awful. And that's what Cleveland reminds me of off of one game, where they, for some reason, this is why football's stupid and why fantasy football's stupid. I had the Cleveland Browns defense. They decide that they can hold off Pittsburgh, who have not Le'Veon Bell, who have all these weapons on offense with Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. They hold them to like 20 points, and they hold Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints and Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas and all those guys. They hold them to only 20 points. They hold the Jets to like 15. But then the Oakland Raiders, who, by the way, traded their best player to start the season and basically don't have much at all going for them whatsoever. I don't think John Gruden's a great coach. And for some reason, they put up like 48 on them. So congratulations to the Cleveland Browns putting more pressure on their rookie, deciding not to play defense in his first ever career start. Congratulations, Cleveland. I think Hugh Jackson's a bad coach, too. I think that's the big problem with them. And speaking of bad coaching, I'm taking the Ravens in this one. I think that this team is talented, and I think Hugh Jackson's a bad coach. I really do. I think if you're like 1-34, whatever it is, that maybe, just maybe, it's your fault. Maybe. Come on, Hugh Jackson. I remember he was saying that after the end of last season. He was kind of alluding to how it wasn't his fault in a way and that they're going to be so much better next year. It's like, dude, you're like 1-31. I don't care what bad of a roster is. That's pretty bad. People lose their jobs for going 9-7 sometimes in the NFL, and you're just lollygagging around and you know puffing your chest out because you still have the job somehow. I think Hugh Jackson's a problem, but I guess the good news is that Baker looks all right. Baker Mayfield looks all right. So we'll see how that pans out. I got the Ravens in this one, although I would not bet on it because the Ravens can be weird sometimes. Joe Flacco can be bad Joe Flacco sometimes. Although I like John Brown. I like some of their skill position players. I think they actually have I'm going to say a competent NFL offense this year. And I think the pressure of Lamar Jackson, their rookie quarterback, being behind Flacco might actually be inspiring him to like really step up his game so he doesn't lose his job. But that's just me. Moving on. I'm taking the Ravens in that one. Moving on. Packers. The Green Bay Packers, 2-1-1, going up against the Detroit Lions, who are 1-3. It is in Detroit. Line currently set at Green Bay -1.5. Here's the thing. At first glance, you're probably thinking -1.5 for Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. Well, here's the thing. I think Green Bay, it's safe to say right now that they're crossed off as a Super Bowl contender. Aaron Rodgers is clearly still hurt. He might be playing with a torn ACL. I know my beloved King Philip Rivers, played with a torn ACL back in like 2007. So I feel like Aaron Rodgers might be doing that. He just doesn't look the same. And what's astounding about it is that he's still good, by the way. That he's still great, even though he clearly doesn't look the same. There's just no movement. I was watching that game for a little bit yesterday, and he doesn't have the movement. He doesn't have that pizzazz on the throws and whatnot. He's still good, and I think that team rides on him too much. Not too much, but I think they rely on him too much. And I think that this one is close. This is another one you do not bet on because it could get weird. Is in Detroit. Detroit, I think, has been pretty bad on defense this year. They let up that 30-yard touchdown to Ezekiel Elliott the other day. That blew the game for them. I love their receivers, and I think Matthew Stafford's all right. I don't know how Matt Patricia is as a coach. I think the safe bet here is to pick the Packers, but I'm still going to pick the Packers. I love the Packers. I think that Detroit, man, I don't know, actually. I think I'm going to pick Detroit here. I think Mike McCarthy is really lucky Aaron Rodgers is quarterback. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to have Detroit over Green Bay. I love how I just hyped up Green Bay all this much and then just decided Detroit at the last second. As you can see, everyone, I am very well prepared. Very well prepared on the Digital Dash. So anyway, moving on. Here's a great one. Marquee matchup of the week, or one of them anyway. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 3-1, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, who right now are 3-0. We'll see if that changes tonight. The game is in Kansas City, and the line is currently Kansas City -3. I got the Jacksonville Jaguars winning this one. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Jags really not the Jags. I think the Chiefs really starting off really strong and then falling off a little bit. I think Mahomes has to have a kind of come to Jesus, just human being performance instead of throwing for 600 yards and 5 TDs every week. And I think that Jacksonville defense is looking, and they cross this on the schedule. Not cross on the schedule, but they've been looking at this. And every day this week, like Jalen Ramsey and Nick and all these guys and Boye are always like, yeah, like we're gonna beat these guys. They look like a superpowered offense. We're gonna we're gonna shut them up. So I got I got Jacksonville in this one in a very close game though. Probably one of the best games from this week. But yeah, moving on. The Denver Broncos, who are right now 2-1, they play tonight, of course, going up against the New York Jets. The line is currently Jets -2. I don't know. I want to see how Denver performs tonight. That'd be better. I feel like I'd be more informed. I want to see if Case Keenum really is terrible because he's been awful for them lately. Even though I like the skill position players Denver has, like Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders especially. I like that Philip Lindsay guy that they picked up. I like Royce Freeman to a certain extent, and they've got some defensive playmakers like Von Miller and Chubb. But I do not think that this is just man. I don't think the Jets are in for a good one this time because Sam Darnold's really struggling. But then again, I think that sometimes when you're struggling a lot, that means you're kind of due. So I'm gonna predict that. I'm gonna say that the Jets win this one. I think they have an okay team. I think this is one of those save my job type of games. I know a lot of Jets fans are upset with Todd Bowles, and they rightfully should be. I'm going to have a piece coming out for the Montclair that everyone can check out this Thursday. I'll post the links on all my social medias and stuff that'll go into a little bit more detail about the rookie quarterback situation going on. So yeah, I'm going to pick the Jets for this one. I think Denver goes in and kind of stumbles a little bit, and I think Sam Darnold has kind of a good game, and people get excited again, and the New York media overreacts. So that should be a lot of fun. Next game, the Falcons taking on the Steelers. The 1-3 Falcons taking on the 1-2-1 Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. The line is currently at Pittsburgh -3. Wow, crazy. Both of these teams should. I'm sorry. It's not that they shouldn't have losing records. It's that they don't look quite like losing record teams. The Falcons, their offense looked back. And I ragged on Matt Ryan for a lot my first show of the semester this year because I was like, this guy isn't good, and he always gets credit, and he doesn't get enough blame for when the Falcons aren't good. The dude won the MVP 2 years ago and then was just terrible the following year, and everyone was just like, oh, I don't wanna. Like, nobody paid attention. But this year, they've looked good, but man, that defense can't stop anybody. You know what I mean? They couldn't stop me. They probably couldn't stop me. That defense looks terrible. So... But this is one of those games, man. It's a true pick-em because I could see Pittsburgh just getting buried. I thought Pittsburgh was going to win yesterday because I thought at home, they've got all this turmoil, but I thought that they would push through at home in a game against the rivals, the Ravens. Wow, I'm getting tired. Going to take a little bit of break in a second. And the Falcons, in the meantime, I don't know, man. This is a tough one, but going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. I think that they at least don't have locker room potential issues right now. You know what I mean? It just looks like they've lost a lot of close games. They lose a shootout to New Orleans, and they lose the shootout to Cincinnati this past Sunday on kind of a fluke play at the end there. But I think that I just think there's bad mojo going the Steelers' way. I'm wondering if there's some football karma going on for not paying Le'Veon Bell for being the best running back in the league. I'm wondering if maybe there might be some football karma. I don't know. We saw it happen to the Celtics last year. They traded Isaiah Thomas, and then Gordon Hayward breaks his leg first 3 minutes of the season. Maybe that's what's going on with Pittsburgh. So yeah, I'm gonna ride on that, and I'm gonna say that Atlanta wins this one against Steelers, and they move to 2-3. And then we really start having those panic questions where Pittsburgh's like, "Oh my God, why didn't we just pay Le'Veon Bell?" And the fans start turning on them. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah, we're gonna take a little bit of break here for about a minute and a half, and then we're gonna come back and get through the rest of the game, starting with the Giants at the Panthers. You're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Those are your New York Football Giants, of course. They're taking on the Carolina Panthers in Carolina with the line right now at Panthers -7. And the Giants are 1-3. Panthers 2-1. I don't know, man. This is a classic trap game where the Giants got kind of killed last week, but they showed some signs. They held the Saints early. They kind of were stopping them, but their offense still looks kind of shaky. But Saquon Barkley and Sterling Shepard and Odell Beckham Jr., like, I still think that's kind of a nice team. You know what I mean? I still think they have good stuff going for them. I'm actually going to pick them this week. I think that the Panthers are a little bit shaky, and I think this is one of their every other year seasons. The Panthers have had some of those where, like, they're Super Bowl one year, then they're bad the next, and then they're like what they were last year where they were like 13-3 or whatever it was. And I think this is one of their every other years. I don't like that Greg Olson's hurt. I just don't like anything about that team right now, although they might kill the Giants. But still, I'm going to take the Giants in this one. So, yeah, we're going to pick up the pace just a little bit because, one, I'm tired, and two, I got more stuff to get through. Next game, we have the Oakland Raiders taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. My Los Angeles Chargers. Oakland is right now, let's see. Oakland is 1-3, and the Chargers are 2-2. The game is in L.A., and the line is right now Chargers -5.5. Here's the thing. The game's not actually really in L.A. It's an Oakland game. I was talking about this before on Mario's show. Chargers don't have any fans. It's great stuff. You know, I love to see this stuff. And it's quite concerning that there was like 95% 49er fans last week. So I'm only guessing that another team located in California, the Oakland Raiders, they're probably going to have a full fan base there too. So I'm going to pick the Chargers, but I think that that's just part of that actually is because the Raiders at least got their win last week, which makes me think, okay, good. We won't give up their first win. You know what I mean? I always get scared about that, you know, the are they due type of thing when it comes to sports. Like, is that team due for a win? I always get scared with that type of stuff. But I think the Chargers are going to win this one. I think they looked not great last week, especially on defense, but I think their offense looked good. And if the Browns and rookie Baker Mayfield can put up 48, why can't King Phillip, Mr. Phillip Rivers, and Keenan Allen and all those guys put up even more points? So I'm taking the Chargers in that one. It's a homer pick, but whatever. Sue me. I don't care. The Chargers are winning this one, hopefully. Next up, another big matchup for the week. The Minnesota Vikings are heading to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. The line currently is Philadelphia -3. Vikings are 1-2-1, surprisingly, and the Eagles are also surprisingly 2-2. Here's the thing with this game. This is huge. I actually might think that this is bigger than the Jacksonville-Kansas City game, because at least Jacksonville and Kansas City doesn't feel like it's the end of the world if either of those teams lose. For this one, it's like the Eagles, Super Bowl champions. If you guys lose this one, you're 2-3, and that division looks like it's not super competitive, but I'd be a little bit worried about Washington, and Dallas is looking okay. I'm sorry, not Dallas. America's team is looking okay. I say that by rolling the eyes and as far back in my head as I can. I hate the Cowboys. And the Vikings, they had the problem with them is they lost that game against Buffalo that they shouldn't have. They got killed for some reason. No, I still don't think there's an explanation for that. I think they were preparing too much for the Rams game, and they kind of forgot, hey, got to prepare for Buffalo too. It's still an NFL team, and then they lost. And now they find themselves at 1-2-1. I can't believe we could be in a position where the Vikings, probably one of the 5 best rosters heading into the season, could be like 1-3-1 by the end of this. I don't know. Wentz hasn't quite looked like himself. He's looked okay, but he hasn't quite been MVP Carson Wentz from last year. The Eagles in general haven't looked that great. I'm going to give this to the Eagles, though. I think they're home. I think they're going to be pumped. And I think they're going to be excited, honestly, about the idea of sending Kirk Cousins and the Vikings to a 1-3-1 record. I don't think the Vikings are out of it, but, man, they need to play. This is a tough game. This is a pick'em. This is a true pick'em for me. I really don't know what could happen here. I really have no idea. They could lose by 40, or they could not lose by 40, but they could lose by like 15 or 16, and then the Eagles could win at the last second. I don't know. But I do think that the Vikings have something to prove. And so the Eagles, actually. Oh, man, now I'm talking myself into the Vikings. I hate doing this. I hate when I have a pick down, and then I just start talking myself into it on live air. But I'm going to say the Eagles. I'm just going to pick the team with a better roster. Kirk Cousins doesn't have the best record in terms of winning as a starter. I actually think he's quite good. Vikings themselves look quite good on Thursday, even though it was the Rams. But yeah, I'm going to pick the Eagles. I think they go to a 3-2 record. I think. No, I don't know. I can't pick this one. Oh my gosh. Dang it. No. All right, I'm picking the Vikings. I changed my mind. Hopefully I'm not wrong. I think the Vikings are in kind of more of a must-win scenario because I think the Eagles, that division, the NFC East, you can have a 9-7 record potentially and win that division. So I still think they're kind of cruising right now, and the Vikings are in win-now mode. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the Vikings on that one, but don't hold me to it. I'm 100% next week going to pretend that I didn't pick the Vikings if they end up losing. So just be prepared for that. Next game, the Cardinals taking on the San Francisco 49ers. It is in San Francisco. The line is currently the Niners -4. Cardinals have looked atrocious this year. They almost beat Seattle, and they didn't. Josh Rosen made the start for them. He looked okay. Larry Fitzgerald's been banged up for them. They haven't really given the ball to David Johnson. That defense is kind of, it's okay, but not great. And the 49ers, they don't have Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they really overplayed themselves against the Chargers, and I think that now they're going to go back to they don't have their starting quarterback, and their whole team was relying on that. I think the Cardinals get their first win of the season, and I think Josh Rosen gets his first win of his career. I think he looks okay, and I'm really high on the chosen Rosen winning this game. I think he's going to be good, and I think he actually has weapons there, and hopefully Fitzgerald will be healthy for them. So, yeah, I'm picking the Cardinals there. Next game, just a couple more. We got the Rams taking on the Seahawks. The 4-0 Rams, a true powerhouse, taking on the Seahawks in Seattle. Seahawks are 2-2, actually. And the Rams are 4-0. Like I said, the line is currently Rams -7. I'm picking the Rams here. I think the Rams are a true powerhouse, and I really think they're going to bat off like 7 to 8 wins to start the season. I just think that team is stacked. On offense, Jared Goff looks awesome. Sean McVay is one of the 5 best coaches in the league right now. Offense, they've got Todd Gurley, Goff, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Brandon Cooks, a true 3-headed monster on that offense. And then this past week, they got lit up a little bit by Minnesota, but they still hung in there. And that was with a banged-up Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib. Their other corner wasn't in the game either. So I'm assuming those guys are going to be healthy, and I think they come in here and really – I'm concerned for Russell Wilson's health because that offensive line is not very good, and I doubt Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald are going to be too scared of going up against that team and probably going to rattle off like 8 sacks between the two of them. So, yeah, I got the Rams winning that one pretty easily. Next game, Dallas Cowboys taking on the Houston Texans in Houston. The line is currently Houston -3, which is a little bit strange. I don't know why that's the case, but I know the game's in Houston, and they've started off slow, but I really think Bill O'Brien's a bad coach. I really, really do. I don't think he's very good. But I think he might squeeze out a win here. I don't really know because Dallas is one of the hardest teams for me to figure out right now. I can't tell if they're just going to be average or if they're going to be terrible. I don't think they're going to be good, but I think they could be average or terrible. And Ezekiel Elliott still looks good. Dak Prescott, I think he's a good quarterback. I just don't think he has, or at least a solid quarterback above average. I just don't think he has any weapons around him right now because the Cowboys thought it was a good idea to just not sign any receivers or draft any, aside from Michael Gallup, who's okay. So I think for this game, let me see here. I think I'm going to pick the Texans, 1, because I hate the Cowboys, and 2, because, I don't know. Nah, I'm picking the Cowboys, actually, much to my chagrin. I think Bill O'Brien's getting fired. I think he's not a good coach. We're on, like, year 5 of him being average to, like, just a decent quarterback. He hasn't, not decent coach. He hasn't been very good for them, and I think that he lucked out with the Colts calling that timeout. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a win right now. They'd be, 0-3-1. They would have a draw, so they wouldn't have a single win. So, yeah, I'm picking Dallas here. I think that it's going to be a close one, actually. This might be one of those random, like, fantasy-friendly games where you and your friends are around the TV. You're all getting super excited because Ezekiel Elliott just ran for 70 yards and a TD, and Deshaun Watson threw to DeAndre Hopkins for the 18th time. I think it'd be a really fun fantasy game. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the Cowboys, America's team, to win that one. And finally, the Monday night game. The Washington Redskins taking on the New Orleans Saints. The Redskins are 2-1 and coming off the bye week, of course, and the Saints are 3-1-1. 3-1. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. The line right now is New Orleans -6.5. This is a great game, and New Orleans is going to win it. I think New Orleans started off kind of slow, but I think they are getting into the groove of things now. They're going to have Mark Ingram back, and I think that while Alvin Kamara has been unbelievable so far, he's a fantastic player. I think that there's a 2-headed monster there that allows for more offensive schemes that the Saints can pull off. Sean Payton's a genius. And I think Washington is a solid football team. I think they're solid. Peterson's been back. Alex Smith, the epitome of solid quarterbacks. Their defense has some playmakers, but I think the Saints are going to light them up, especially at home in the Dome. They love playing well there, especially after a kind of slow game against the Giants. But yeah, I'm going to pick the Saints there to win that one pretty not pretty easily, but it should be a fun one. And I think the Saints started off slow and they're going to be back and once again be one of the Super Bowl contenders. So yeah, guys, those are my picks. Had to rattle off all of those by myself. Man, that was tiring. I'm going to try and never do that again. That was way too much. But yeah, guys, going to take a little bit of a break. And when we get back, I'm going to talk about Slice, which is the movie from A24 that I saw this weekend. You're going to want to hear my thoughts on that. It's a really weird, bizarre movie. And you'll hear whether or not I liked it. So yeah, you listen to the Digital Dash here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. And we're back here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair with your host, me, Mr. Javier Reyes. Just got done rattling off my NFL picks, and now I want to talk about a little movie called Slice. The movie was distributed by A24. For those who don't know, of course, A24 is one of the more prominent indie distributors out there. They put out really good stuff every year. And, like Lady Bird, Moonlight, and such, among many, many others. And I saw this weekend another one of their movies. And it's called Slice. And here's the thing. What's weird about this movie is this. I'm going to read off the cast of this movie. All right? So, first of all, it's from A24, so automatically like that has people interested. The cast in this movie, Chance Bennett, otherwise known as Chance the Rapper, is one of the stars of this movie. Zazie Beetz, Chris Parnell, Paul Scheer, Joe Keery, and Hannibal Buress. Out of there's more people in the movie, of course, but those are the main big people. Joe Keery, of course, for those who don't know, is Steve from the Stranger Things on Netflix, and he's got a little bit of a minor role in this. So I saw this and I was like, what the heck? I remember they teased this back in August, right? And they released the trailer not too long after, and then they had a sudden release on September 10th of this year. And there was really no promotion for it aside from the trailer. I didn't see any of the celebrities tweeting it out. And I'm like, Chance the Rapper's in this? How is nobody talking about this? You know what I mean? So I was curious. Piqued my interest. So then I rented it. And I watched it. And let me tell you, not a fan, guys. It's disappointing. I thought that this might be one of those weird, zany, kind of movies that just snuck by people somehow. I should have known that it was a bad sign that this movie gets a trailer and then all of a sudden they said, hey, it's actually going to be released in theaters tomorrow for a special one night showing. And the fact that I didn't see any tweets or posts from Chance the Rapper, Zazie Beetz, Paul Scheer, I swear I didn't see anything. And, basically it's an American horror comedy, essentially. That's how I describe it. It's written and directed by Austin Vesley. It basically revolves around this pizza place called Perfect Pizza Place. And it involves these murders that have been happening of the pizza delivery boys, one of them being Sean Hammerschmidt, which is one of the main people who gets murdered at the very beginning of the movie. And it's an investigation into who murdered him, why, and I don't even care to explain the plot of the rest of the movie. There's a ghost town where ghosts are a people that live among us. They're citizens technically, except that they don't actually look like ghosts. They just have their face all covered weirdly with powder. So I guess that's funny. And essentially the movie is it is trying to be the campy, stupid horror slasher movie that you saw as a kid or whatever. It's R-rated, of course. And, I understand what it was going for, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the cast, in terms of who is in it. I actually didn't really like many people in this. I thought Paul Scheer was the only one who seemed to be having fun, to be quite honest with you. And I love Zazie Beetz, who was in Domino 2, and it was in Deadpool 2 playing Domino, which is what people probably know her for most. And Chance the Rapper, of course, one of the biggest musical artists we have today, making his acting debut as this werewolf. You know what I mean? He's a normal guy, but he can also be a werewolf, which is a type of species too. It's almost like Bright. If anybody saw Bright, that terrible Max Landis written movie that came out towards the end of last year. It's like that, except it's a comedy, and it's really stupid, and it's I know what they were going for. And the best way I describe this movie is it's one of those things that you watch in the 5th grade with your friends and you guys think you're so bad. You know what I mean? It's like it's a sleepover at some friend's house, right? It's like October, you know? And you guys are like, man, let's watch a rated R movie. Ooh. And you guys all start whispering to each other and you're like, oh yeah, let's do that, let's do that. And then you're looking around, you're like, oh, look, Chance the Rapper. Oh, look at him, he got his neck cut or whatever, and it's about murder and all this stuff. Oh, we're so bad. It's a super bloody movie. This is gonna be great. And then after the movie, you guys are like freaking out, and you're like, whoa, that was so funny and all this stuff. It's like one of those sleepover movies that you pretend was super funny or super violent because you want to tell people that like you're super mature and you guys rented an R-rated movie. That's what Slice feels like. If anybody can relate to that, let me know. I don't know if that was a good analogy for it, but whatever. And it's really unfortunate because I was actually curious about this thing. I remember I remember when the trailer dropped and all of a sudden it's out. I should have known that was a bad sign. What's weird about it is it like I said, it tries to harken back to that old like 80s really low budget type of horror comedy movies. And you know what one of the problems is that it has the weirdness of like kind of being delusional and occasionally kind of insightful. Occasionally, I'm talking like maybe 2 minutes in total of the movie. One of my problems though is that the movie just isn't funny. You know, it's just not funny. It's not none of that. Like I said, Paul Scheer's the only one who seems to be having fun in this movie. He's the pizza owner. And spoiler alert, basically what happens is his pizza place is actually covering the gates to hell is where his pizza place is. That's like the big thing in the movie. And he's funny, I guess, for the little bit that he's in. Zazie Beetz does what she does and she's okay in it. But my problem is like Chance is very underutilized in this a little bit. He kind of just feels like they put him there to have Chance the Rapper in their movie. There's barely anything of Hannibal Buress, actually, now that I think about it. I think he's only in the movie for like one scene, and all you see is like the side of his head. So I guess keep getting them checks, Hannibal Buress, but I don't know why they didn't use him more. It's a really questionable decision on their part. But yeah, it's ghost stuff, it's witches, and it feels like one of those movies that people are going to watch when they're completely hammered out of their minds or they're stoned or whatever, and they just rent this and they're like, dude, that was amazing. Like, it was so dumb and stupid. I loved it. That's what this movie feels like. But I don't even think it's a classic in that sense. It's not even, I don't think it's a good bad. That's what I call movies that are like straight up bad, but they're kind of lovably bad. Like Point Break, movies like that where they're really atrocious, but you can't help but love them. And I don't even think this movie does that well. Like I said, performances feel uninspired. The plot, it seems like one of those things that they had a screenplay for it, and A24 is like, ooh, like, this sounds fun. Let's do this thing about this cheesy, horror, campy horror movie that has a stacked cast or whatever, and it sounds cool on paper. Very cool movie sounding, very cool sounding movie on paper. But of course, I don't think it delivered in that respect. I think it was just really, oh my gosh, man, it was not funny. That's my biggest complaint with the movie. There's barely any humor in this. You know what I mean? It's slightly funny if you have a certain sense of humor. There's some nuance to it, I guess. But for the most part, you're watching these guys and you're like, can someone have fun? Can someone realize that they're in an insane movie? You know? It's almost like in Thor Ragnarok, that's the first thing that came to mind, where like the actors clearly realized they are in a crazy, silly comedy type of movie, and for them to just own it. You know what I mean? In this movie, nobody owns it. You know what I mean? With the exception of maybe Paul Scheer. And it's really disappointing because I love this cast and I love A24, but they really disappointed me. So I don't really recommend the movie unless you're one of those people who really like those, really, really love those cheesy, awful movies that you can just make fun of when you're with friends. You know what I mean? I guess it does have value in that respect. And the fact that you're just going to be watching and being like, Chance the Rapper? Like, you're going to have that reaction where you're watching and you're just shocked that Chance the Rapper is in this. So yeah, that's really all I have to say on Slice. And I'm the only one talking about this movie. I swear. I mean, I was looking up the other day just to prepare for the show, and I was like, am I the only one talking about this? Yeah, seemingly so. Nobody has written anything about this aside from the fact that it exists, which I think should tell you that it was not a good movie, and it's really disappointing. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Slice from A24. Not good, man, not good. Written and directed by Austin Vesley. Not the worst thing I've seen this year. I think I've seen worse. I think that, I don't know actually what the worst movie I've seen this year was. I have a feeling it's going to be Venom from next week, though. I can tell you that much. I think Venom's going to be a train wreck. I really do. I think the fact that Tom Hardy came out, like I saw it this morning, that he's like his favorite scenes in the movie are the 40 minutes that they cut out. Never a good sign. Never a good sign. There's no reviews out. I feel like we're going to get them tomorrow, and they're going to be terrible. And Star is Born is coming out this weekend, and I think that's going to kill it at the box office. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts on Slice. You're listening to Digital Dash here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. And when we get back, I always say it, nothing but illustrious guests. My sister's going to call in. We're going to talk about The Good Place, which has season 3 premiere from this past Friday. We're going to talk about that. There will be some there'll actually be major spoilers. So be wary of that when we get into this conversation. So hopefully I get my sister on the line and talk some Good Place. So yeah, you're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Stay tuned, guys. And we're back here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. We reached the top of the hour here, actually. We're at the top of the hour here at 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Wow. Stumbling all my words, of course. But now we have a very, very special guest calling in from an undisclosed location via Skype. Is my sister, Vanessa.
Hi there.
Hello. Hold up. Let me put up your volume. Hold on one second. And, all right, go.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great.
You're doing great? That's good. I'm glad to hear.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. All right. I've been teasing the audience, and as always, I always say, nothing but illustrious guests on the Digital Dash. Today's like the family-themed episode, apparently. Totally didn't plan that. Really cool stuff, though. And if you want to introduce yourself, you can say anything or nothing. I don't care. You can be super mysterious about it.
I like that I'm in an undisclosed location.
Yeah. I say that.
It makes
me
sound very interesting.
Yeah, I say that for everybody when they call in.
Yeah, no, I'm Javier's older sister in my undisclosed location and a fellow lover of pop culture and video games and such.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you're calling in because I want to talk to you about The Good Place, which is just one of the greatest things, honestly, this planet has to offer right now.
For sure.
So for those who don't know, for some reason, if you don't watch The Good Place, now's your chance to turn back, because we will be going to spoilers, because this is one of those shows that's actually really hard to talk about without spoiling it, because literally if we just talk about what happened, not even what happened, if we just say the opening line summary of what happens in this episode, it is already a spoiler for season 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Like literally it is a spoiler for season 1. So everybody, this is your last chance. I'll give you about 5 seconds, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And yes. So the main cast, they're alive again.
I know, it's crazy.
They're just alive again now. They're just back. They're back.
There's no rules.
There's no oh man, there are no rules for this show. Oh my goodness. It's kind of like, and what's crazy is Michael Schur is part of this, and he's worked on, I'm sure, like every popular show that is out right now, honestly. And
right.
He comes on with The Good Place, and it is such a deceptive show. I don't think I've ever seen a show that hides what it truly is more than The Good Place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It has this remarkable ability to touch on just very serious, very ethical, and kind of spiritualistic topics, but with a vibrant, happy-go-lucky like aesthetic, with this like really resplendent look to it. They're talking about ice cream and sunshines. It's amazing. Like they're in The Good Place, which
absolutely.
Of course turns out to not be The Good Place, which is the big.
Right.
What was your reaction to that in season 1?
But I kind of feel like they're not really in the good place by being alive again either.
So oh, I know, right? Definitely not.
They have never been in the good place.
Yeah, they're just suffering. Oh my gosh. Give Eleanor and Chidi some help, man. Oh my gosh. Give these guys a break. So basically what happened at the end of last season was that they made this, I think it was called Michael's Gambit, I believe was the name of the last episode. And what happened is they went from being dead and trying to get out of the bad place to now making a deal with the judge, who's hilarious, by the way, like everyone on the show. They made a deal with the judge, basically, that erases their memories and restores them back to life, because Michael, played by Ted Danson, the lovely Ted Danson, basically says, well, I believe that if people got a push in the right direction, that everyone could be good. So they send them back, and they want to prove that, and they test that. And it spirals very quickly.
Yeah.
It spirals very quickly. So the end of last season actually showed you Eleanor's perspective, played by Kristen Bell, where it showed you how she starts off, all of them actually do, they start off trying to be good after they're saved. And I love the way that some of them are saved too, where like Eleanor is saved with this epic kind of shoving out of the way of these shopping carts. Chidi, it's like this other guy, get out of the way. And then, you know, with Tahani, she gets saved too. And then with Jason, it's just him walking by and unlocking the safe.
I know, it was just so casual.
Yeah, just so casual, like, you idiot. Like, what a whack way to die.
Right? But he did have his scuba gear.
Yeah, he did have his scuba gear. So basically, that's what happens in this episode, is it goes through, it's kind of, I don't want to say perspective of Michael, Ted Danson's character, and Janet, who's awesome too. This know-it-all, basically kind of robot, essentially, being that literally just knows everything and is meant to serve people who made it to the good place, who for some reason loves Jason, who's just quite simply a buffoon, and he's a moron. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
There's a great quote from him from this episode that I laughed like audibly, and I'm pretty sure my mom heard me and was like, "Are you okay?" So basically, to summarize the story quickly, it gives you brief looks into each character's life from the rise and fall, like where they get saved, and then it shows, oh wow, look, they're improving, and oh no, they don't care anymore, and now they go back to what they were before. That's basically what happens with all of them. What was your take on that?
I mean, I'm not sure what like my exact take on all of that was, but I really enjoyed going along for the stories and like seeing these like who you thought were like amazingly good people unfold into like these strange, like maybe they're not quite so good.
Yeah. The show constantly questions the audience and makes you think about, what does it even mean to be good? What does it mean to be bad? And Eleanor is like kind of the epitome of that, because she's like, I don't know, she just has an interesting view on things, where she's like, man, being good is hard, and like she's like angry by the end of the episode and just losing her mind because she has nothing go well for her, basically, and calls the other guy Benedict Cumberbatch, which is really funny.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. So
but I mean, even her actions in this episode, I would say were good in the traditional good sense, is in that she was being like altruistic by helping Chidi connect with a love interest.
Yeah, for sure. That's what's interesting about it, is that now it's like, oh, I thought they were the love interest or whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I saw a report the other day. I don't know if this is true. I saw it like a couple hours ago, where it's apparently Eleanor is bisexual, apparently, which is shocking to probably zero people. If you've watched the show, it makes a lot of sense. Trust me, it just makes sense. She's clearly very curious about things when it comes to all that, and with her character, now there's this other person, and I don't know. Should we get into basically the banger at the end of the episode?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay, so yeah, known good at playing a person you want to punch in the face, Adam Scott, who is incredible in season 2. Incredible. He plays a person in the bad place, kind of like the head of it, and he's just a jerk. Like, that's his thing, is he's a jerk. And he's always he's just amazing. And what happens is, like we've said, all these people get brought back to life. And at the end of the episode, Chidi's like, hey, and we have one more actually who's coming to like try and learn what it means to be good, because that's what Michael's been doing. He's been bringing all of them back together. I probably should have mentioned that before. He's been kind of like pushing each other to all, like each of the characters, Eleanor, Chidi, Jason, and Tahani, to all meet up with each other and learn what it means to be good. Very similar to what happens when they were dead and in the good place or bad place.
Yeah, he's doing the same exact thing.
He's doing the same exact thing. Just completely interfering. And I love his excuses for going through the door every time.
Right.
He's like, hey, I got a fresh cup of antimatter for you, or whatever. Like, and the guy's like, I haven't heard a joke like that in 5,000 years. Oh, what was it like? My shift started at 8:30 and ends at 5,000 eternity or something like that.
Right.
So I got a lot of time to spare.
Right.
So he's been interfering, and we don't know how this happened, although we can imagine how. Then at the end of the episode is the bad place guy. Adam shows up. Adam Scott's character shows up, and he's like, hey, everybody. So that's the big, like, kind of, mic drop at the end of the show, is that a person is clearly going to be in here to mess with them and potentially get them all, screwed over.
Well, and it's also through Michael's interfering that they were able to get that guy there.
Yeah.
So because he kept going back and forth so much, they were able to, like, quote unquote, hack the system.
Yeah.
and send their own person in.
There's a really great quote because the bad place people are after them. They've been trying to find them ever since Michael went rogue. Which, by the way, that's the thing with Ted Danson's character on this. He goes from being this like self-aggrandizing god figure who's like all about himself to a self-deprecating person who's like, you remember that whole spiel where he's like, hey, nothing matters, everyone? Like he goes into that. And now he's like this altruistic good person who believes human beings now. It's like, he's just Ted Danson really is like probably the best thing on this show. He's incredible. Next to Janet.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he's incredible on this. Borderline, I think he got nominated for an Emmy actually. He didn't win, unfortunately, but whatever. The Emmys are known to not get things right anyway. So so what happens is, he's going back and forth and I don't even know where to start, man. So I have saved actually. There's a part where every person has an issue, right? Eleanor is these typical, she's just a jerk and doesn't care about people and is kind of selfish. That like the typical, what is a bad person, right? And then Chidi, his bad thing is that he can't make decisions. Yeah. But what we mean by can't make decisions is he literally cannot decide like what kind of muffin he wants. So you would think he gets sent to the good place because he's done a lot of good things in his life. Like does all this activist work. He's talked about, he's a moral philosophy professor, and he gets killed actually because he couldn't decide on going to a wedding and something falls on top of him. And that's how he died, and now he's saved. And the reason why he's in the bad place is because they're like, Chidi, you could never make up your mind, and you cause so much people so much frustration and sadness. So it's really funny there. Tahani, her problem is that she's too concerned with her image and which honestly is super understandable considering her sister's kind of mean and a jerk, and she's too concerned with what other people think to the point where she only does good things for other people's satisfaction. So that's her flaw. And then Jason is just an idiot. Like that's it. He dies because his homie, as he calls him, I forgot, like dog, like sleeper dog, I forgot his name. Like they rob a smoothie machine or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he dies because he was stuck inside of the safe they were robbing and they forgot to let him out, and he has snorkeler. Because they thought that would help him survive, and that's how he died. So,
but
yeah,
I was just gonna say I would counter with like Eleanor's character that she's honestly the most relatable because while she does these really outrageously bad, hysterical, terrible things, she got a super hard shake in life, and you could totally understand where she's coming from. Yeah. But the show always challenges that, right? Like they're like, great, okay, despite that, like you can also learn what would be the moral thing to do in the situation and how we should treat each other as a community. Right.
And what's so interesting about that is, it constantly challenges you. You see the backstory of her parents, that they were really mean and just didn't care, and you get it. And also, she has good responses for why she isn't great. I wouldn't say that I'm saying she's the stereotype of what it means to be quote-unquote bad, which is I think people are like, oh, you're selfish. Like, I feel like that's what people associate with that. Or you killed someone.
But I think she's like a survivalist.
Yeah,
like,
she's
honestly.
Like a survivalist.
Like, she looks out for herself.
Yeah, that's what she does. And you get it. And that's what's so brilliant about the show. It challenges what is good, what is bad. There's literally a character in the show who made it to the mid place because... because what is it that she did again? She was
terrible, but then right before she died, she cashed in all her wealth and she was going to start this charity, but it didn't happen. Yeah. But like her intent was to do this like amazingly altruistic act, and then she died.
Yeah, it's like something crazy. Like it just so they were really confused. They're like, "Huh? Send her to the mid place or whatever." And she's another character that we can go into on another time. But yeah, that's what I love about the show too. Is that it's just constantly challenging. Like, what does it mean? And they go through that on this, especially with the other characters. Eleanor, they went in more how she went from like trying to help people and save the environment and all that stuff to being like, I don't want to, like nothing's going well for me and all this stuff. And then with Chidi, it shows that very hilariously. He's like, hey, just do something. Just do it. Like he has that whole thing or whatever. Yeah. And he tells the person to try going to the gym, and then the person's in the hospital the next day. And then,
I know, he had such a quick swing.
Yeah, he has such a quick swing for being like, oh no. It's like unbelievable, like this poor guy. And so that's what happens with him. And then Tahani goes from trying to rip down a statue of her sister that almost crushed her to then not caring and being like this monk, I guess, like on some Avatar type of stuff. And then someone brings up like some TMZ crew comes in and is like, hey, you want to be part of a documentary? And she's like, back in.
Yeah, immediately.
So yeah, immediately. And then Jason, he tries being a dancer.
His is the funniest to
His
me.
is incredible. He tries to do like step it up, basically. That's what he tries to do. And they lose every single time. And he's like, okay, I guess go back to doing crime. And then he gets arrested because he literally admits why he was got arrested.
But he never changed. Like he kept losing because they were disqualified for how many people, and he never changed how many people.
They had like 30 people, and it's like, you lost because you have too many people, right?
Yeah.
And then the last one is, well, dude, nobody wins because of the fight. They fought each other apparently in the last thing. So yeah, really quickly before we get into more, we're gonna take a 30-second break here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and we're gonna talk more Good Place right after this. You're listening to the Digital Dash. We're talking The Good Place. It's me and my sister Vanessa, who is on the line right now.
Hey there.
Hello. We just basically got through like what the episode was about and how Mr. Adam Scott is back with that, you know what, eating grin on his face. That salacious. Oh man, he's such a smug jerk. There's so many words I want to say right now. There's so many words I want to say to describe that dude. And he's perfect at it. So I'm wondering, what do you think is like, how do you feel about this idea, like them being on Earth now? Because it's like, that's kind of was the point of the show before, is that they were in heaven and anything was possible, and now it's grounded. Like there is literally a ceiling for what they can do technically.
That's true, actually. But I think they're going to make up for that with like the scenes from the opposite side, like what's going on in, I don't know, the bad place, and also with the judge and everything, with some of the like otherworldly, type of things. So at least we'll get some fun levity that way. But I think it'll be really interesting to see the characters and how they interact with each other, especially given the change in like the love story with Chidi. And also the introduction of the scummy guy.
Oh yeah, the scummy guy. That's the right word for it.
That'll be the way I put it.
I think that because here's the thing, this show literally is just another thing that's impressive about the show. By the way, I'm pretty sure almost every episode ends in a way where it's like, not quite like a super gas, but you're like, oh. Like they insert something new at the end of every episode somehow. It really is a one by one. Like you have to watch every single like entry in this thing.
For sure.
But I really like that. I think they balance it really well. I'm so curious. It's like, what was the next step for them? I'll bring them back to life. Like, the creators of this show, like I'd love to be in the writer's room for what they think of. And speaking of writing, I just have a couple lines I wanted to share. So first of all, Janet has a line about the kids that Chidi and this new girl would have. She's running tests about how they would be. And then she goes, I'm running tests on them, like in her happy Janet way. And she's just like, their kids will actually be hot enough to be on The Bachelor, but they'll be smart enough to not go on The Bachelor. Like this whole like thing. So that's really fantastic. Shout out The Bachelor. Interesting television right there.
Oh gosh.
So I enjoyed that line. What else we got here? And Tahani's book. Now, I don't know if you saw on the screen when she's at that presentation of her book.
Yeah.
Which
I don't think I think I might have missed that.
Yeah, let me see if I even still have that on my phone. Hold on one second. Where did it go? No. Oh, no, I wrote them down. Duh. They're not on my phone. Okay, so the quotes for the book, it was like giving like your best, or I forgot what the title of the book was, but it was, this book is so brilliant, I've decided to quit writing because I'll never top it. Malcolm Gladwell, who's like one of the great writers like working today.
Yeah.
And then even better, right under that is ditto, Cormac McCarthy.
That's awesome.
Cormac McCarthy, who did The Road, one of the most gruesome, dark books I've probably ever read in my life, by the way. And also, they go into like, she's super self-absorbed, and like they have this one scene where she's deleting all of her celebrity numbers. Do you know what numbers were on there?
No, I don't.
Okay, so here's some fun ones. Taika Waititi was on there. Taylor Swift, The Edge, private number. The Queen, The Rock, Tom York, Tilda Swinton, Tiger Woods, Tim Cook, Tim Gunn, Tom Brady, and when she deletes one of them, the one that scrolls in at the very last second is Tom Cruise. So yes, that's how much attention to detail I pay. It's just a lot of fun. Like, they just have dumb references like that. The writing's really on point. And then lastly, the line that got me was when Jason is what's his face? I forgot how he introduces himself, Michael, to like go and like influence him and give him an idea. They're at the boardwalk and he's like, "Hey, Jason." And then he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are these your rocks?" And he's like throwing them into the water and he goes, "Are these your rocks?" Like, that's what he was concerned about. And it's really just the epitome and perfect summation of who Jason is.
Yeah, for sure. He's just so simple in some ways, but like that's probably why Janet likes him, because he's also really pure in a lot of other ways. Like his joy is pure.
Yeah,
like,
everything about him is genuine. Whatever he's feeling is genuine. You know, he's not lying. He occasionally has spirited, very wise advice, which is great.
Right.
Like where she gives advice, he gives advice to Michael, I think, at some points. And Michael, by the way, oh my gosh, he's in this for quite a bit. And he plays like 5 different versions of himself. One of them being an Australian character. I don't know if you noticed the meta like reference there, where he's like, I thought I got to do an Australian accent. And then Janet's just like, yeah, it was great or whatever. So it's like making fun of Ted Danson for not being able to do a perfect Australian accent.
Yeah.
So just a super
funny.
meta, awesome moment there. I don't know. What other thoughts do you have on the season premiere?
So, well, the one thing that I have a big question about, I want to know what the key does. The key with the frog keychain.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. It was the first matter ever, and he put it as a frog because he likes frogs.
Right? It's like such a simple answer.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like the perfect example of the show, right? They're taking a very heavy moment. Like, this is the first matter ever made.
Yeah.
And I'm putting a keychain on it because I like frogs. Like, you're like, here's some such hilarity and just humor with like a very serious moment, but they don't explain it.
Yeah, they don't explain it. That's a good point. It's usually that's probably going to come back into play where they destroy reality potentially. I don't know. This show is literally capable of anything. I remember I was in on this show when they made the joke about that, like when you get into what we know now is the bad place, they have that painting on the wall of some random dude. And then they're like, oh yeah, this is the guy who we put up a painting of him because he got really stoned one day and he's the only one to ever get what happens after you die pretty right. So we just put a picture up of him. It's like,
oh,
what?
That is so funny.
That's in like season 1. And they're like, all the religions mostly, they had bits and pieces right, but then it was actually this stoned out dude who just guessed what happens after you die. So we hung up his picture. That's when I knew the show was for me. So the season 3 is now underway. It started last Friday. How many episodes are per season? I forgot, actually. But
I have no idea.
I do really recommend the show for everybody. Like, everybody. I don't care if you like dark things. I don't care if you like happy things. Well, obviously happy things. Whatever it is. I don't care if you like watching anime only, if you like watching The Sopranos on repeat for some reason, or Game of Thrones, whatever. Or sports, if you're just a sports guy. I really recommend watching the show. It's a really smart show. And on the surface, the way we're talking about, it's really funny, of course. A lot of comedic moments, great performances, but it's also really smart. And I appreciate shows like that. I like it when shows are able to be smart without being dark, because I think a lot of people associate dark with being, oh, that's real emotion. That's really like smart, and that's what real stories are. It's like, no, you could also just, I don't know, you could be Inside Out, a great Disney Pixar movie, which is deeper than most movies that come out these days. So yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think for me, just the fact that they're able to talk about morality in a way that doesn't bring in some of the tropes that we talk about, like religion and like these set of rules that we have to follow for morality, and they play with it, and they play with like how people interpret it and how they learn about it. 'Cause that's what Eleanor is constantly doing, right? Like, she's trying to figure out how to be good. Like, first it was how to game the system, but but then she genuinely wanted to be good. And then, she brings about all these questions that actually, like, that's why Chidi, started falling for her, because she was like actually like tearing apart some of these things of like, how can we be good? And at the same time, what does it mean to be good? And
can
like, and Michael
is another question on the show.
Yeah, and Michael went through the same thing, right? Like, and he was this demon who just kept looking at all these like problems, and in a very hilarious way, like, faced what morality was. But like, those are really big questions that we should be talking about, especially in 2018.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Thank you. Preach it. Say it from the say it from the top of the mountain. And yeah, anyone who's supposed to be bad on this show tends to be good. I know that there was a point where the leader, the judge of the bad place or whatever, walks in and is like, he can seal people up in these caterpillar things when he gets mad at them. And then he's just like, he just goes, the person's like, why did you do that? He's like, because I'm a demon. It's fun.
Right.
He's like, because I'm a demon. It's fun. It's just like all this random hilarious stuff is in the show. So yeah, I really recommend it to everybody if you like good things. that's really my seal of approval. So yeah, you got any final thoughts you want to share to the people?
Oh no, I just I want to know what that key does. Like it's going to be my burning question with every episode, waiting for the froggy key to come back.
Yeah, I know, the froggy key. There's going to be some dramatic shot where it hits the ground or whatever, really.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, Vanessa, it was great having you on.
I loved it. It was great.
It was great. I will be seeing you actually this weekend for your birthday.
Yes.
So all the Digital Dash listeners, I know you can't like respond to the show right now, but say happy early birthday or whatever. Happy birthday. All right, so yeah, so all the people can't wait for that. And when I get over there, there'll be a new episode out, so you can probably watch that at some point.
Yeah, that'll be great.
That'll be great. All right, so CNS, take care.
All right, thanks for having me.
No problem.
Bye.
So yeah, guys, that was my sister Vanessa. We just went on about The Good Place, one of the great shows, one of the great things, honestly, that exists right now. And I can't wait to see more. It's an Emmy Award-winning show. It's a show for everybody. It gets all the things right, as we do here on the Digital Dash. We like to get everything right. But for now, we're going to take a little bit of a break. And when we come back, I'm going to be calling my mom. That's right. I'm calling my mom. She's going to call into the show and talk about the Yankees Wild Card, which I'm sure she has some thoughts on because she's actually been watching the Yankees a lot more than me lately. So yeah, I'm curious to see her thoughts. This is going to be a lot of fun, guys. And then we're going to close things out, preview next week's show. You know how it is. The Digital Dash here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. We'll be right back, guys. Some technical difficulties, and we're back here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair in the waning hours of the Digital Dash. And now, on the line, calling from an undisclosed location, is my mom.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing, Mom?
I'm doing good.
That's great.
Excited for this week. Excited for this week very much.
All right. So really quickly, if you want to give some background, whatever you can say whatever you want about yourself to introduce yourself since it's your first time.
Well, I grew up in the Bronx. That's the most important,
Yes.
I think,
Great point.
factoid for today. And as a result, I always root for the Yankees, although philosophically, I also root for the underdog. So this week, this playoff in particular, Yankees and the Athletics, is a different experience for me. I can't win and I can't lose, it seems.
Right. So basically, you and I, we've talked about this. Like, we both like the Oakland A's because they're the epitome, pretty much, of at underdog. You know, they always have the lowest payroll. This year, they officially did have, like, the lowest payroll in the league, yet they still made the playoffs. Moneyball, of course, a movie that I love and I know you love a lot, too. But still, we're conflicted. It's conflicting, but we're still rooting for the Yankees. You got to stick with your team.
Well, I am loyal to my home base, so
Yes.
I have to stick with the Yankees.
Absolutely.
But if the Yankees were to lose,
Mm-hmm.
there isn't a better team that I would
Yeah.
rather lose to. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Basically, I think what's more important is as long as Boston doesn't win, right? I think we can agree on that. As long as Boston doesn't win, honestly, it's okay. I'll be all right.
I'll save my rants for next week if we make it beyond the wild card game.
Yeah. If we,
yes, I hate the Red Sox. I hate Boston.
yeah. So.
You can't be a true Yankee if you don't hate them.
Yeah, you can't be. So, as you said, we're playing in a wild card game. It's this Wednesday. It's in Yankee Stadium. Projected lineup for the Yankees. This isn't like confirmed, but just the projected lineup to give you some background is batting first would be Andrew McCutchen, followed by Aaron Judge, Didi Gregorius, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Hicks, Miguel Andujar, Gary Sanchez, Luke Voit, and Gleyber Torres. So that's like the projected lineup. And I want to ask you, like, what's your feeling? Because I know you're really nervous about this stuff. You're a very anxious person, especially when it comes, specifically, I should say, when it comes to sports. So what are your feelings? Are you going to even be able to watch? Because I know you like to do the thing where I love how you know where this is going.
Don't tell everybody that.
Yeah, so my mom likes to do the thing where she puts her hands over her eyes and like look through a little hole because for some reason that's like shielding her. Like she's safe when she does that.
Yes,
It could be
I'm
it could be from a movie. It's amazing. I remember this movie with Denzel Washington and Chris Pine called Unstoppable. And it's about a runaway train, and you were doing that, I'd say, for the last 20 minutes of the movie. That was all you were doing. It was incredible. So, yeah. What's your take on the starting pitcher thing? Because that's probably what in Yankee land, what people are talking about the most, like who should start for us.
I think I guess what I want to know is if the Yankees, if all of our players are on come Wednesday. Because
Right.
they seem to, sometimes they just have a game where they're just not playing to potential.
Right.
So we've got a great Severino, a great Tanaka. Hap has been great. But sometimes Severino, and he's struggled this season.
Yeah.
He's been
Second half, yeah.
inconsistent. Although as of late, he's been better. So I'm hopeful that that's the Severino that we remember
That we get
from
for sure.
last year and the earlier part of this year.
Yeah, it's
Tanaka, again, inconsistent. So I don't know who's going to show up on Wednesday. My guess, the normal order would be for Hap to play, and he's been a great acquisition for us.
right.
So Boone may go with him. I'm not sure, but I do believe that it's probably all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Everybody gets just a little bit of wiggle room
Yeah.
on Wednesday, because if we lose on Wednesday, this is only it's a one-game elimination, so
Right.
we're all going home. If the pitching isn't on.
Right. And that's the thing here is, like, it is a small leash. Like, if Severino or whoever starts, if it be Hap, if it's the first inning and there's, like, 3 guys on base with nobody out, they could pull him right there. Like, because it's the wild card. Everybody's on deck. So I actually think it's probably going to be a mixture of Severino and Hap, most likely. I personally would go with Severino. I just think you have to go with the talent at some point. And I think I just have a feeling that the human effect takes in at some point when it comes to baseball, especially in the playoffs. I think he wants to redeem himself for not just his terrible second half, for the most part anyway, but his start last year in the playoffs. Like, I remember when we were playing the Twins and we were down by like 6 in the wild card game. He was terrible. And, of course, the offense really came back and rallied behind him. I think he's like, hey, I want to come in and win this game. I want to redeem myself for what happened last year. I was scared last year, but this year I'm ready. And I'm ready to take down the A's, basically. So that's who I would start.
I hope that's the case, because Severino can be lights out if he's on. So that's hopefully the case. What you don't know is how each individual handles nerves.
Right.
And if that impedes what their normal performance would be. One would hope that having gone through this last year, that maybe he's over that hump.
Right.
And that the motivation that you just mentioned will cause him to make sure everything is working for him as it should. I really hope so.
Yeah, me too. I just, because you hate to see it. And the A's are no slouch. Like, here's the thing, though. The A's, I know a lot of people get on them is because they typically fall apart a bit in the playoffs. They're usually a regular season team. They have all these weird players every year. I know this year, for example, they have Matt Chapman, Jed Lowry, Chris Davis with a K, Steven Piscotty, Matt Olson. Like, none of these people, and I know you don't pay attention to most of the stuff going on around the league, aside from the Yankees, but even people who pay attention to the league, most people don't know who these guys are because they didn't really have much of a name before the season. And all of a sudden, Matt Chapman, great player, great defensive player, and he's probably going to be an all-star next year, if I'm being honest. And that's what they do. And they have Mike Fiers, who's a starter that was kind of left for dead. He didn't really have anything left, and all of a sudden, he's amazing for them. They have the best closer in baseball, Blake Trinan. So this is not a slouch team. I feel like, actually, this is a team that might be better suited for a wild card game versus a series, you know? I feel like they're the type of team that could have that one game. You know, you get Trinan to come in, you got a solid bullpen, get some guys to step up, and that's it. And then maybe they get killed by Boston next week. But I don't know. It's a close one. I know I'm going to be all Yankeed out this Wednesday.
Well, we played 2 series with them. We won one at our home in Yankee Stadium, and they beat us in the series that we played out there.
Right.
I think we're neck and neck for the wild card. So I think the Oakland A's have a lot to play for. It's not that often that they get into this position. And I think we don't know about their players, I think, because we have East Coast news. You know, it's kind of slanted, so it's what's happening to the East Coast. But I think they could give us a run for our money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more nervous about them than I am about the Red Sox right now.
Of course, because
So
we actually have to play them now.
Beat the Red Sox, you know. So
Yeah.
And I'm feeling good about going into a series with them. And Sales is in 100%.
Yeah, true.
The Athletics, the A's concern me a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see what happens, though. I'm excited. Are you going to actually be able to watch the game?
Me?
Yeah, will you be able to, like...
What do you mean, am I going to do my regular thing?
Yeah, you're going to do your regular thing?
I'm going to be a nervous wreck, yes. I will watch it, you know.
Yeah.
I like, you know, but when it gets too anxious for me, you know, I don't know if I can handle it. So that's why they have rewind buttons, so that when it happens, I can go back after knowing the result and watch it, you know, sanely.
Yeah, I get that. So yeah, Mom, that's pretty much it. This Wednesday, wild card game for the second year in a row for the Yankees. Last year was an unexpected playoff team. This year, an expected one. Unfortunately, the Red Sox were just pretty unbeatable for most of the season. So hopefully next week on my show, I'm talking about how we'll be playing the Red Sox next week. So yeah, Mom, that's it.
It was just one thing.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say.
Happy early birthday to Vanessa.
Yay!
Happy birthday.
Woo!
Okay.
If she's still listening, shout out Vanessa. So yeah, thanks for calling in, Mom. It was a blast. See, that wasn't so bad, right?
No.
All right. I'll see you soon, Mom.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye. And that was my mom, ladies and gentlemen, calling into the Digital Dash. I've had everyone on this show. I can't be beat. I only deliver the best guests out there, apparently. You know? And you all know me. I'm super, you know, selfish and, you know, textbook narcissism on my part. You know, rooting for my own show like that. But that's what I do. And that was fun, though. And I'm excited for the Yankee game. I haven't really watched baseball at all the past month because, to be quite honest with you, I just think it's pointless for us to be playing games in August. I'm watching the Chargers play, and I'm like, well, oh, wow, the Yankees are still playing? I always have that every year, and I'm like, this would be so much more fun if the playoffs were in August. But whatever. They keep getting that TV deal and all that stuff, so they're not going to decrease their games by too much, even though they probably should. So, yeah, guys, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and when we get back, going to wrap things up. Going to wrap things up on a star-studded cast for this broadcast of the Digital Dash. So, yeah, stay tuned. We're going to be back in a little bit here on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair.